Welcome, everybody. My name is Nick Cork at Win with Nine Shank Club NFL. You are watching the Shank Club. Coming up in an hour, we have got four-time Super Bowl champion Jesse Sapolo joining us live from the west coast of the USA. It is going to be an absolutely banger of a show. When he's on, please feel free to send in your questions. And we'll get as many answered as we can. Plenty of guests to bring on. So let's do. Welcome. We are the Shank Club NFL. Yeah. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to my new humble abode. It's still freezing, but I've decorated the bunker. Not very well because you can still see all the shit behind me, but it's better than it was. Moved everything forward, moved stuff around. And great to be here. As I said, we got an absolutely amazing show. Jesse Sapolo is going to be joining us with his Super Bowl rings, or at least two of them, because he has got four, but two are locked away. I'm sure he'll tell us that story. Don't forget, if this is your first time watching us, please hit that like and subscribe button down below. We are broadcasting live on YouTube, Periscope, Twitter, Twitch, and all those good things. Right, without further ado, let's bring on my sidekick, partner in crime, whatever you want to call him. Carl. How are you?
Good afternoon, mate. Yeah, I'm all good. It's been a rather exciting week, shall we say, for the NFL and obviously outside of the NFL as well. So, but yeah, all good.
I was going to say we'll get onto your free agency frenzy with the Patriots pretty soon. I did see a thing saying that it's the most that's ever been spent. Pity you got a shit quarterback, but that's another story. We'll come back to that. Danny, oh my God, what's
going on, people? You told me to fanboy.
I didn't realise we had Randy Savage on the show, but okay.
Yeah. That's there you go. I'm going to do this for 2 hours. I can't see a thing. You probably can't hear me, but 2.5 hours later, I'll worry about it then. Yeah, that's all I can do.
I would if
I feel dizzy.
Yeah, are you? You're not. I thought you was a Seahawks fan from an ex of 49ers.
I do. I get that.
Good to have you along, Danny.
It's great to be here, mate. It's exciting.
Good to have you along,
great show
Danny.
Coming up.
Definitely.
Excited.
Another regular now on the Shank Club, Craig from @UK Draft. How you doing, Craig?
I'm very well, thank you, Nick. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm all good. Ready to talk some football, ready to talk to a 49ers legend as well. Today is a good day, as Ice Cube once said. How are you doing?
I'm all good, mate. It's been a busy week. But yeah, lots to do, lots of things to update as we've gone through free agency, lots of changes to kind of draft thinking and stuff at the moment. So yeah, plenty to focus on and plenty to do. But
excellent.
Looking forward to this next couple of hours.
I was going to say, I guess from now, after the pro days, right up to the draft itself, is quite a busy time for you because obviously things change, especially with free agency, teams' needs change, etc. So, yeah, it's definitely an interesting time coming up. Let's bring on... There you go.
What's
John
up, guys?
B.
How you
What's
doing?
happening?
What's going on? Danny, good to see you, man. You're doing the fanboy thing. Excellent. Either that or you're hiding from someone. Who are you hiding from?
Maybe it's a bit of both, Maybe I'm a bandwagon guy and I just had a spending spree,
All right.
That's actually could be quite true. Yeah, he definitely could have. How's your week been, John?
It's been good. It's been really good, actually. The weather here is getting nice. We're getting some warmer weather. We're in the 50s. Just getting ready to get some lawn work done, man. Got to pick up some limbs and get the kids out there to help me clean it up. We're getting ready to do that this afternoon. How about you guys? Anybody got any good news? Hey, Shark, what's up, man?
Yeah.
I thought I'd join in the outfit for today, so I picked up my. Probably better than my actual hair, as you can see, but I'm not too bad. Yeah.
I was going to say, so that was your fanboy attempt, was it? Sticking a red thing on your head?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't call us, we'll call you, mate. Next time we want a fan fest. Are you good, Shark? How are you doing? You well?
Yeah, well, I've had a great week. Just watching pieces that we thought were going elsewhere come straight back. It's ideal. I'm very excited. Hopefully a couple more to come, but yeah.
AB's still not signed now, is he not?
No, I don't. Honestly, it comes down to what the league think of him. If there's any team that thinks anything of him, they're going to pay him more than we will. It's just simple as that, really. Like if anyone sees him as a serious wide receiver and is willing to forget the past, he could easily go and get some serious money somewhere.
Definitely. We're still waiting for the original Mr. Smug, Mr. Rogers. He's probably still putting his Rupert the Bear trousers on that he had on last week. So let's lead off. Free agency frenzy. Carl, what the hell has happened in New England? What has gone on this week?
Oh, well, where the fuck do I start? Obviously, we had a lot of money. I think it's like $285 million, the most spent in free agency history. It was needed. It was absolutely needed. You saw how badly our receiving core was last year. And getting the two tight ends. Jono Smith was the first one. I was like, okay, that's a good start. Let's see what we build on. We build on from that. And we end up getting Hunter Henry, the two top tight ends in free agency. We're now going back to our roots. So the likes of Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez, that two tight end murder duo set, well, obviously minus the murder with Henry and Smith. But
I was going to say you shouldn't mention Hernandez. Yeah, you shouldn't mention murder and Hernandez. But hey ho,
I said minus the murder, all right. But also we got some of our opt-outs back. Dante Hightower was one of them. We traded Marcus Cannon to the Houston Texans. Patrick Chung retired as well. Loyal servant to us. I mean, he was outstanding for us as a safety. Defensive line signings, though, picking up Matt Judon from the Ravens. I know I got into a spat with a couple of people regarding that we should have picked up Carl Lawson from the Bengals instead of Matt Judon. But Matt Judon fits our mold a little bit more better than what Carl Lawson is. Carl Lawson is just a pass rusher. Judon can do both. He can rush the passer and drop into coverage as well. I think the Patriots drop into coverage more times than any NFL on the defensive side of the ball, 27% to be exact. But we added two more defensive tackles. Anderson from the Jets. I don't know much about him, but it's a defensive tackle, so we should do better. And Godchu as well from the Miami Dolphins. But Adam Butler went to Miami, so you could say it was a straight swap, frankly. It's been productive to say the least. And we also picked up your ex-wide receiver, Kendrick Bourne, from your 49ers. So thank you very much for that. And we also got Nelson Aguilar, which it's divided opinions because people think if we get Nelson Aguilar, who we played with the Raiders, we may be getting a very, very good receiver. But if we're getting the Aguilar that come from the Eagles, then it's like, yeah, okay, this guy's shit. He's not worth it. I think everyone forgets how Aguilar was their second best receiver for the Raiders last year, behind Darren Waller. Overall, Bill Belichick said he was going to be aggressive in free agency. He basically broke through the Breeze block wall throughout this free agency signing. So I'm pleased for it. But now the spotlight is now all on Cam Newton. It's all on Cam Newton now. If he messes up, then we know he's out the door. But this is not the end of the quarterback situation. I don't think we're going to go for anyone in free agency. You saw the class out there. It wasn't very good. I can see us now trading up. I can just see us now trading up.
That's what I was going to say, actually, Carl. I would be surprised. I'd be amazed if they didn't bully their way into the top 10 somehow, because they've obviously still got that missing piece. I mean, I was quite amazed just how aggressive they were. And I know you said Bill Belichick, and unfortunately, I can't do my shit Bill Belichick impression because my headphones won't go over my hood. So I can't do my Bill Belichick. I'm going to be aggressive. But they come out firing. But I still think that your issue is at QB. If you draft someone, I could see it. I mean, if they draft, let's say, I don't know, I'm not really up on obviously the top kid, but let's say they pick up a reasonable quarterback and Cam Newton's still stinking the place up by week 4. I can see if you do draft that QB or get a vet in, them actually taking over again like Stidham did. Although I think last year Stidham should have been put in a lot sooner. But it'll be interesting to see. Danny, our free agency, the 49ers. I was really surprised, actually, what we managed to do. We re-signed some major parts, used check mostly, brought back Daniel Helm, signed a new centre, which I think is quite good, Alex Mack. Still some deals to announce. Hopefully they'll be coming soon. Obviously we lost Bourne. And whilst a lot of people kind of ride his dick, a lot of people didn't really like him. What are your thoughts on losing Kendrick Bourne? I mean, basically he was going to become, if this season, if Jalen Hurts is fit, he could have been number 4, number 5 receiver, right?
Yeah, I don't see Kendrick being a major loss. I think he'll be nice with the Pats, but again, I think with Jalen hopefully being healthy for the first time, I think there's a lot of potential there. I think signing Juice was bargain of the century. I know he's a fullback and nobody pays fullbacks and blah blah blah. You've heard it all before, but any stats and any highlights you want to look at, I think signing Kyle Juszczyk was massive, so massive to Shanahan. It changes everything for him, and so I don't think Kendrick's going to be a major loss. I think he's probably replaceable with what he does and his skill set. I don't think there's anything there. I think with everything that's gone on, I'd be amazed if we don't go cornerback high in the draft, unless you want to go down the Jimmy G road. But I think building my O-line and getting ready to roll and Shanahan do his thing, stay healthy, and you're going to have a heck of an offense going on there. I don't think losing Kendrick's going to be a major deal to that.
Hey, Tony, man, what's going on, brother?
Look at we've got the resident GM of the Nothing But Niners crew.
All right, calm down.
We've got Nothing But Niners royalty in the building. Tony,
good morning, fellas.
Dion, what's good, fam?
Hey, what's going on? How y'all doing? What's up, Tony?
What's going on?
Yeah, see, you and John V, y'all a couple hours ahead of me, man. See, I rolled out of bed, goddamn. It's 7:50 over here, bro. I literally just woke up. Like, I kid you not. The craziest thing is because I have such a routine person, whenever I get up, I have to do simple things before I do anything. So it's like I can't even get up here and put this mic up without doing that stuff. I got to brush my teeth, use mouthwash, how to drop a deuce, and then I come on the show. Simple routine.
As
in
you
no
do.
particular order.
Right? Whichever happens.
So, whilst we're talking Niners, Dion, what were your thoughts on the free agency frenzy that the Niners got involved in overall? What would you give it as a grade?
I'd give it an A. I'd give it an A. Yeah, strictly based on we did what we needed to do. I did a show a while back just basically on our free agents. And Tony, correct me if I'm wrong. We had 40, 41? Something around
We started,
there?
I think, with 42 total
Yeah.
free agents.
Yeah, so we had 42 total. And I stated on that show specifically that we were only going to sign maybe no more than 10 to 12 of them, if that, because all of those guys we didn't necessarily need. Now, we still got to find a way to get K1 in here. We have to. That is a must, because what's killing me is K1 unrestricted, right?
Yeah, he's unrestricted free agent.
Yeah, he's unrestricted, so I have no idea how he hasn't been snatched up by a team. Maybe teams have been asleep, and I have no idea why Robert Saleh hasn't come calling, because he don't have a nickel back over there in New York with the Jets. So maybe it's looking good for us on that front. But everybody else that we needed to sign, we signed. The only other person I'd like to see us go ahead and give another contract to is Ben Garland to be our backup center, because it's, either that or we're going to draft somebody to be able to back up Alex Mack and actually take his spot for years to come. I like Ben Garland. I like what he did when he came in for Weston Richburg. And this just tells me that Richburg probably is going to retire, because if that was the case and you thought Richburg was healthy, why would you sign Alex Mack? That doesn't add up. That's like saying 2 + 2 = 5, and it's 4. But I love the signings. Given Trent the contract that he got, it was well worth it, every single penny. Like I said, on Carl's show, if you get 4 good years out of that 6-year deal, you still won. You see what I'm saying? If we get 4 good years of Super Bowl playing left tackle, guardsmanship, blindside guarding, we're good. Doesn't matter who's going to be back there. That matters to an extent, but for right now, it's Jimmy, and everybody else that we signed, it worked out well. Signing DJ Jones, I was a little iffy on that one, because DJ's a great run stuffer, but he's shit for, passing downs. That's why you don't see him in there very often. But it's okay. You give him a little contract. He does what he does on the rundowns. Everybody else that we signed is fine. Dante Johnson knows where the dead bodies are buried, or he's sleeping with somebody's wife. I don't understand how that happened. That really drives me absolutely insane. Signing Juice was great. I'd like to see him used more in the offense, because he's way too dynamic of a weapon for us to have on the sideline pretty much at any point. The kid Sampson out of LA looks like he's going to have to put on some size, from just watching the interview that they had on on the 49ers YouTube channel. They're assuming he's going to be the other edge rusher outside of Nick Bosa. Maybe that's why we haven't tried to get Kerry Hyder back here. So the 2 free agents that I'd like us to sign, honestly, actually 3, is Ben Garland, Kerry Hyder, and K1. And I'm very confused at how all 3 of these dudes are still on the market and nobody is snatching them up. It's not making a lot of sense. But A+ for me, man. It was a real good thing. What you thinking, Tony?
My next, Nick?
Yeah, go for it, Tony.
All right. Number 1, I'm not denying, I said it was a B, but they made a couple more moves on that show, and I kind of feel like I'm going to give it an A now. And the A is based off of structure. The structure of all these contracts are phenomenal, and you have to give credit to Parag Maratha.
Yeah.
So basically, the Trent Williams deal is 2 deals. One is the first 3 years, and the second is the last 2 years. So they have outs after that, pending on his play compared to his age. The Samson, I can't pronounce this guy's name for nothing, but the defensive end that we acquired from the
Samson.
Rams.
I call him Samson. I don't try his last name.
We'll go with
Epic
Samson. Samson, I like. Okay, now if you watch any tape on this kid, any film or any previous games versus the 49ers, they use them absolutely wrong. They use him as a stand-up 34 outside linebacker, which is not his game. His ability to play in a wide 9 technique with Chris Kosaric is going to raise his game because you're on an angle for the tackle. His speed is his strength, but don't get tricked on it because he has the ability to bull rush. So it's not just a one-trick pony. He can come with a speed and then hit you on the next play with a bull rush. I like his deal. It's a 2-year deal. Seems like it's really a 1-and-1. All these contracts up minus Trent Williams are 1-and-1s. All team options. So I like that addition. As far as Juszczyk, I love that contract. That's a 2-year deal out of the 5. Barrett is a steal to come back at $5 million after the season that he had. He's kind of betting on himself and showing a commitment to the 49ers for giving him that opportunity to play. My number one thing was Alex Mack. The 49ers were if I could have flown to Vegas and put money on this, I would put a lot of money that they were going to sign Alex Mack because that is the center that Kyle wants, that veteran, the point, do the calls with the linemen. And if you listen to his press conference, he said it. He goes, I'm in the center of the field. I can see the whole defense. The left tackle can't see the right side. The right tackle can't see the left side. So that's my job to communicate. I do understand he's 35 going on 36. But in 94, the 49ers signed a guy by the name of Bart Oates, who was 36 years old, and took that line and made him gel and led him to a Super Bowl victory. So I like the veteran leadership with him. I touched on Egibom. Mosley's another 1-and-1-year contract. DJ Jones is great on a 1-year deal to come back because basically all these moves that they made are A, very smart, B, cost efficient, and C, it gives the team the ability in the draft to go whatever way they want. They're not committed to say, holy crap, I need to draft a left tackle in the first round. Then we have to draft a pass rusher in the second round. No, it gives them full flexibility now to attack this draft. So basically on all these moves, I know Dante Johnson, was brought back on a 1-year deal. I don't have a problem with that because the guy can play all over the secondary. When he's called upon, he steps up. He's not great. He doesn't suck. He's average. He's great on special teams, though. I will say that. When Quan went down, he was the guy who stepped in the nickel when Jamar Taylor was out. So he gives you versatility across the board on that secondary. And don't forget, guys, 40-plus free agents. Our roster right now is kind of like, all right, draft-wise, we can go BPA, and we can nickel and dime for the free agents that are left on the board. Overall, this free agent market has been very slow, in my opinion, because of the situation of the salary cap, the restrictions, and teams being over the cap. But you're going to see like a lot of guys that are like just hanging out there. They're going to take a 1-year deal on the team. Like the perfect example was Juju Smith, whatever his name is.
Smith-Schuster.
I knew it was one of those damn names. There was rumors saying that the Niners were somewhat interested in him as a slot receiver in this offense would have been like a match made in heaven. But there's other names out there where they're going to take a look at, whether it's Golden Tate, whether it's Danny Amendola. This team does need a slot guy, in my opinion. I think we're set on the outsides. We do have Jalen Hurts sitting in the wings, Jawan Jennings, but they're both coming off of injuries. So, I mean, overall, I'm pretty satisfied with this offseason. And it really – to make all those moves and still have $13 million in cap space, that's pretty damn creative by the 49ers.
As ever, Parag worked his magic, definitely. John, briefly, Joe Flacco and your thoughts on the free agency. I can see Dion shaking his head.
I mean, I'm not too worried about Joe Flacco. I don't know if they really are considering him or if they just want to, touch all the bases and just leave everything on the table, man, and have some kind of perception at the end of it all. I'm not really worried about Joe Flacco. He's proven to be serviceable. He's better than Mullins. He's better than Beathard. So I have no concerns there. Briefly about free agency, I grade him like a B+, A-, somewhere in there. I think we did excellent on the Ibukam or Ibukam or however we say his name. I'm actually really hoping that dude brings a speed dynamic to the mobile quarterback play. When we play Russell, when we play when we play everybody quick, I want to know if that dude's going to be able to chase them down and get those sacks or at least get pressure, because when they start to move, we can't crash. Well, we crash the edge, but we open the middle of the field, and they always go straight through. I just hoping that this Samson Sosa, whatever we call him, I just hope he brings some kind of speed and help us get those mobile quarterbacks in check. So I was happy about that. Obviously, all the re-signings were great. So I think it's a B+. I think if we get K1, I'll give it an A+. I think once we get that nickel corner position locked up, like Tony said, we can go into the draft and take whatever we want, really. I mean, whatever we want to bolster. I still think they're going to go secondary with the number 12 pick. I don't know that they're going to draft up or trade up to get a quarterback. I don't know. You know, they surprise us every time. So I don't know. Really, I'm good on free agency, man. I was worried last week, but they really stepped up. They really did. They did everything they could. So I'm looking forward to see what happens the coming weeks, man.
Kyle Fuller's out there, guys. Remember that. Kyle Fuller is out there.
Kyle Fuller. I love Kyle Fuller.
We have Jason Verrett starting with Kyle Fuller, and you put E-Man Mosley in the slot. I'm just throwing it out there, man.
And that's why the whole situation with Flacco, you have to watch. Because I honestly feel if they sign Flacco, I don't know if we're going to get into the Jimmy Garoppolo thing on this show, but Flacco's the number one piece you got to watch. Because they bring him in, they could work the deal with New England that's rumored on the table, but allegedly the 49ers are saying he's not available. But if that's the case, they bring in Flacco, they draft a guy, they trade Jimmy, you clear up more cap space. That's a scenario how you could bring in Kyle Fuller. So I'm not saying that's what I want. I'm just putting it out there that could be a scenario because if you notice, the 49ers have been on in every quarterback. They probably have like a little board in their office with every option that they could do, what they could do off of it, what it's going to cost to get it. So they're dotting their I's and crossing their T's. And once they have that move, I think that's when they pull the trigger, move on from Jimmy. I think it's going to be more closer to the draft, more like maybe a potential draft day trade because, you know, they don't want to show their hand because the team will trade up in front of them to get the Fields, the Lance, the Wilson, whoever they choose to go with. But it's just an interesting thing that they're looking at that type of veteran quarterback who's proven, who has a good arm. He's not mobile, but, you know, it's just a scenario that you have to keep your eye on.
I just don't like Flacco at all. Since he won a Super Bowl, he hasn't been worth a dime. I mean, I don't care for him. You know, Flacco honestly got his job in the first place only because Troy Smith had tonsillitis. Because Troy Smith was technically supposed to be the heir apparent to Steve McNair. Like, that's basically how that happened. I don't care for him. Since he won a Super Bowl, he has not been worth a dime. He's not taking the team anywhere, and I don't want him on our squad. I don't care that he has a big arm or none of that crap. I'd rather roll with Jimmy. I swear to you, I'd rather roll with Jimmy than to roll with Joe Flacco. I know the deep
Flacco was made to look better by good defenses.
You said what?
I'm saying Flacco was made to look good by what has been a great Baltimore defense for the best part of a decade. He's done nothing really except one year Tony.
Like, I'm not like when I saw I was bringing him in, I damn near threw my hat across the room. Some of these are question marks. I get it; they know what they're doing, but that's just my little rant. I want nothing to do with Joe Flacco. I want him to go away. I want him to act like he never saw the 49ers invite to come to the team, and I want him to go back to Denver and sit on the bench or something. I mean, go to the Jets.
What if you can bring back Shark? What if you can get Hyder?
But I'd rather have
two pieces.
I'd rather have Kerry Hyder and K1 than Joe Flacco any day. I just don't. He's not going to take me anywhere. I don't see a Super Bowl in my future if Joe Flacco is my starter. Period. I just don't. He hasn't been to one since 2012. We're in 2021.
But what if he's What if he's just a backup though? What
Nope.
if he really doesn't?
I don't
take
need
the
the
job?
quarterback controversy, all the extra crap, and Joe Flacco.
Well, there's going to be quarterback controversy regardless of who is in there.
I'll take the draft quarterback controversy over having a worthless guy who hasn't won a Super Bowl in 9 years and done nothing in 9 years and went anywhere in 9 years. That's all I'm saying.
Brother, that there will be controversy regardless of who we bring into the quarterback room this camp. You know that there's going to be the fan base is going to be divided, and they're going to want whoever they bring in to behind Jimmy to beat Jimmy out. There will be controversy. I know it. Regardless,
yeah, but that's just people who don't really pay attention to football. Those are just those are what I like to call your basic fans. They wear the gear. You can say what's up to them, and they probably don't even understand what you're saying. You can say I've said what's up, faithful, to many people out, to a few people out here, and they kind of look at me like I'm crazy. And then when I say it to the right person, and they answer, and they're like, "Oh, that's what you mean." Yeah, you're like a regular fan. You don't even really watch the games. You just wear the gear and call yourself one. You know what I'm saying? You don't ingrain yourself in something. I'm sorry, Nick. I didn't mean to go on that rant. I don't like Flacco. I don't like him at all.
Thing is, there's two subjects. Well, there was only one, but now there's two that polarize a lot of Niner fans. Jimmy Garoppolo and now fucking getting Flacco in here for a visit. All I can say is I hope the taxes are super high in Cali because I don't want Flacco anywhere near this team.
Oh, they're ridiculous. You don't want none of them taxes.
The thing is with Joe Flacco, since he won the Super Bowl, he hasn't really done a lot. And to be honest, he has regressed rather badly throughout the last 4 or 5 years of his career. The only game he actually ever turns up for and turns into prime fucking Peyton Manning is against us. Every time he plays the Patriots, he plays like prime Peyton Manning. When he plays everybody else, he plays like fucking Nathan Peterman. I didn't mean to swear there because we now there's a young girl on the screen. Sorry.
Yeah, well done, Cole. Yeah, take a drink, take a sip. Craig, you've been sat there patiently, obviously Atlanta Falcons fan. Just to let everyone know, Jesse Sapolo is going to be in the building very, very soon. So stand by for that because we are going to do some serious 49er fanboying. Craig, Atlanta Falcons. Obviously, I know they did something with Matty Ice's contract, etc. But how did free agency, etc., go for you?
Well, I was going to say you summed it up quite nicely when you said I've been sitting here patiently because that's exactly what the Falcons have been doing. We've basically sat out free agency so far. We didn't have the cap room to really go away and do anything. We brought in, a backup linebacker and a safety. I mean, our safety room had one person in it, so it's nice that, at least he's got somebody to go and talk to now. But they're both, both of those signings are kind of core special team players. They're not going to be starters, I don't expect. But you're right, sorting out Matt Ryan's contract, making sure that we've actually got a bit of cap room to be able to do something this year. And more importantly, making sure we were under the cap by the time we needed to be on Wednesday was important. I think looking at that restructure of Matt Ryan's deal, it looks as though they are set with him being the starter for the next 2 years because his previous contract, getting out of it after 2021 was just about okay. They could manage it in terms of the cap hit for 22. Now, getting out of it after 21 still leaves us with a 25 million cap hit or something in 22. So realistically, it looks like the out is the end of that season for Matt Ryan. So that looks like they're wedded to him. Arthur Smith is going to go with Matt as being his starter for the next couple of years. Jake Matthews, the left tackle's done a restructuring deal as well to help us out, which has been a good thing. But yeah, very much just sitting and playing it cool early doors. So it would seem that's the Falcons' approach right now. Nothing too interesting to talk about.
That's going back to the Niners very quickly, and I know I sort of messaged you and said about what the Niners have done in free agency and stuff. Do you think that changes what the Niners do at 12? Very briefly, do you think it will change, or are you still cornerback or maybe offensive lineman or trading up? What's your thoughts?
I can't remember who said it, but somebody earlier said it gives the Niners the ability to just do whatever that, almost best player available at 12.
That was John.
Or it was John. So John, I think that's absolutely right. It gives them that ability to just sit and take best player available, which is a really good draft strategy. Or, if the rumors of them loving Zach Wilson and Jimmy G moving on and wanting to get up to 2 or 3 to go and take someone like Zach Wilson, potentially they've got that, the core of that team right to be able to go and make that move. So I think it will definitely change the approach. It will mean they're not anchored in on we need to find a left tackle or we need to go this way or that way. I think it's definitely going to be a more interesting one to try and decipher which way they're going to go.
Well, Tony is our resident GM. Craig, you could be the GM for the Falcons. Tony, let's get this deal done right now so we can go get Zach, call it a day. Y'all can split off to the side, work that out. We'll call Parag. Everything will be cool. Let's just work out the trade right now. Yeah, you two talk.
This is the same dude earlier on in the week that tried to bribe Craig for fucking Julio Jones.
Look, man, I'm all about making the team.
Don't try and cover that up either. Come on, dude. You look like he was ready to hold the gun to his head there. But give me Julio. You give me Julio now, bro.
I mean, I wasn't gonna actually do it. I'm just saying, if him and Tony want to talk, draft picks for Zach Wilson, I'm okay with that. I don't think it's a negative thing. Just throwing it out there. It's a feeler. You throw it out there, you kind of see what you get back. If he wants to give up Julio still, I'm with that. I'm okay with that. I thank you for Alex. Thank you for Alex. And Carl, thank you for Jimmy. It's not bad. I think Tony already has a deal in his head. Look at his face. Tony has the deal in his head. He knows what to give up. He knows what to get. Everything. And, hey, you need more draft picks because you ain't signing nobody in free agency. Currently, I just looked. I think you guys are still almost over the cap by $376,000. So, I'm just –
in the
Tony,
NFL,
are you a Trey Lance guy?
Am I a Trey Lance guy?
Yeah.
No.
I didn't think so.
Any particular reason why?
Because it is likely to be Lance or Fields that ends up there at 4, right? I don't think Wilson makes it that far.
Tony, are you a Fields guy?
I think I do like Fields, but I'm very hesitant when it comes to Ohio State quarterbacks. I'm going to be straightforward with you because it's a system there that any quarterback can flourish. And once they make that transition, it's like, okay, what am I doing?
Yes, sir. I agree 100%.
The one thing that I think Fields has a legit shot is because he went and Kyle knows him and he worked with him at QB Collective, which is Kyle's quarterback camp for seniors going into freshman year of college. And he was very hands-on with him. And, you just got to look at shit like that because now Kyle knows how this guy's wired. Kyle knows his strengths. Kyle knows his weaknesses. Kyle knows his commitments, his preparation, how he worked in the room, trying to work on film on a whiteboard, all stuff like that. Kyle has an intel with him because of that camp. Could it be him? Yes. I like Wilson. I think he's a phenomenal quarterback. I think he will be a phenomenal fit in this offense. I can't say for other offenses, but with LaFleur going to the Jets, running the San Francisco type offense, the Shanahan offense, he could potentially work out there. But I have a strange freaking feeling that it's going to be Mac Jones for Kyle. I really do, because I'm going to tell you why, Dion. Just hear me out, okay? He's dead on accurate. He's dead on accurate. He's not mobile. He's dead on accurate. He plays big in big games, and he outplayed Fields in that championship game. He blew him out of the water. And there's something about him. I watched him at the Senior Bowl. He didn't play it in the game, but you watch him in the practices, and he's telling guys, yo, no, you go over there, you go over there. He's like a leader on the field, and that's what you want from your quarterback. But a dark horse for me is the kid Mills from Stanford. That is a dark horse.
Yeah, that's it.
That's a quarterback we've been keeping an eye on, as well as
I got to do some research. I'm not.
I didn't even know about this dude till the beginning of the week. I think he surfaced at the beginning of the week.
And you could ask Mike, Nick, and all them. I said this weeks ago on the show, and everyone's like in the group chat, like the whoever started that group chat.
Yeah.
I put Mills in there, and someone put the puking emoji. Well, guess what? Everyone's on Mills now because they saw him perform in that workout. I mean, I understand it's a workout, but still, you're talking about ball placement, zip on a ball. This guy was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. I mean, people in Stanford are like comparing him to like an Andrew Luck type quarterback as far as like a leader on the field. Ball
That's
placement,
high praise.
strength.
That's very high praise.
So I'm not saying he is, but if the Niners don't go quarterback high, and they stand pat and take the best player available, or even if they move back a little bit and pick up an extra second, Mills could be in play. And we all know John Lynch takes one Stanford guy a year. Somewhere along the line, whether he's an undrafted free agent,
they're driven on it.
There's one Stanford guy in the mix. I was very impressed with what I saw with him. I went back and I watched what game was it? I think I want to say I forgot what damn game it was, but I watched maybe a 40-minute clip of a game of highlights on YouTube. And I know highlights make the quarterback look good, but just watch his footwork. His footwork is like unreal, like light leap years ahead of Jimmy Garoppolo. Like he'll move the pocket. He feels the rush. He feels the pressure. He slides right, slides left, steps up. And that's what Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't do. He stands there, he gets the snap, and it's like, okay, my feet are in cement now.
Does Mac Jones do that? Because when they played us, I'm a Buckeyes fan. When they played us, they dominated us, Tony, in every aspect that game, man. Their O-line was, stout. Yeah. Their receivers were phenomenal. They just flat out burned us on everything. So Mac Jones looked like, fucking Warren Moon in there, I don't know. Is Mac Jones mobile? Does Kyle want mobility in his quarterback?
Mac Jones isn't mobile for anything. He does not move around like that.
He is.
I don't understand why everyone's attaching a mobile quarterback or an athletic running quarterback to Kyle. Kyle over the years never had that. He was force-fed RG3. Yeah. He was force-fed by Daniel Snyder, RG3.
Yeah.
He got hurt. It didn't work. Here comes Kirk Cousins, a pocket quarterback. Here comes Matt Ryan, who was an average quarterback. Craig, could you agree before Kyle Shanahan was there?
He was probably above average, but he definitely improved when Kyle came in, without a doubt.
So, here's the thing. Kyle's system will work. All Kyle needs is a quarterback that could deliver the throws that on the receivers that are schemed wide open. And that's something Jimmy struggled with in 2019. But the main thing here is he needs a quarterback that could move around the pocket, not just stand there. If he feels pressure, he'll step up and then roll to the left, step up, roll to the right. That's all he needs.
But that's not Mac Jones, though.
Mac Jones could step up in the pocket if he feels pressure coming from his sides. I've seen it. He did it in the bowl game because Ohio State started blitzing him. So what he would do is he would feel the blitz. He would roll out to his right, or he'd roll out to his left. He would step up and then slide and then make the throw. But the only question with Mac Jones is, yes, he has a ton of talent, what John just said. Talent across the board. But is it the receivers that made him look good? Because these guys are lightning fast, and he still was putting the ball on a dime. He still was getting them in full stride. So that makes me think he does have the talent to succeed at the next level, and it wasn't only the wide receivers. Because you got a guy running 4-3 on a streak route or a dig or on a corner route, a post corner route. You got to put that ball directly where it needs to be. And he did that versus Florida. He dropped a dime at the pylon where I think it was Whittle. I don't know his name.
Waddle probably.
Waddle
was out for a lot of the season.
To the pylon, and there was nobody. And I tell you, there's nobody that can make that throw. I'm so good. He literally dropped it. And as soon as he dropped it, he caught it and went right out of bounds. That's arm talent that this team is lacking. And I know Jimmy has a quick release. I know that. Believe me, he has the fastest release in this league. But the problem is, if you take away the middle of the field of Jimmy,
he can't throw out
a receiver. He can't lead a receiver.
We know that. Yeah.
So with Mac Jones is he could throw to the sidelines. He could throw deep to the sideline. It's not only the middle of the field. You need a quarterback that can make all those throws. And believe me, it's going to be easy for him in this system because Kyle schemes somebody open on every play. But getting back to who the quarterbacks are, Trey Lance is a talented quarterback. I just don't like how there was minimal film on him. He only played a year and I think 2 games this year. So I'm kind of hesitant on that and playing at the level of competition that he did. I like Wilson, but he again played versus lower competition. Mac Jones, SEC competition, which is next in line to the NFL, and Fields. They played a tough schedule too, but it's a crapshoot. I know Kyle has their guy, but the sleeper, in my opinion, is Mills.
I just looked at his stats. That is nothing impressive. Just his stats alone.
Who, Mills?
Yeah.
You got to remember something. David Shaw has a run-first mentality. That program runs a heavy, heavy run game.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to look at some tape. I'll look at some tape on the side, and we'll talk. But just looking at his stats right now, I know he's a run-first guy, but at the end of the day, I am not comfortable going forward with the dude who had 1,500 yards last season, and before he only had almost 2,000. Like that's not. We got dudes out here throwing 4,000 a year, and Kyle likes to throw the ball like he has his play action, but I can't rely on the dude who doesn't even have double-digit touchdowns. Like I'm a bit of a numbers guy to an extent, but I also like to look at play. But that doesn't lead me to believe anything. If he's there, he's probably going to be there in like 3rd, 4th round because he has shit for stats.
Just look, you got to put his stats away in that offense. Throw him to the side and just watch his ball placement. That's what you got to watch.
Okay.
In a system like that, with heavy run, watch his ball placement and watch his footwork, everything. You'll see it. I'm not saying he's the next John Elway, but he's a decent quarterback that could potentially succeed in this system.
It's going to be very, very interesting. Few comments to get to. Been a bit lapsed with these. 49er Izzy is in the building. Nice to see that you've joined. She said, one hell of a panel, Nick. Love seeing Tony, Dion, John V most of all. I think you got a fan there, John. Carly Young in the building. If we draft Jones at 12, I'm rioting. Unfortunately,
6 weeks time. 6 weeks time. That's going to sound rather pleasing if we go live.
Unfortunately, the original Mr. Smug Scott can't join because he said I don't have the internet to join. Thuney and Long are beasts. Casey addressing their glaring weaknesses, and apparently the 49ers now have the best QB in the division. Not an ideal position. NY to the Bay. What's up, fam? Good to see you in here, Mike. Good to have you along. Coming up very, very shortly, we will have the man, the myth, the legend, Jesse Sapolo. Before that, we got to speak to the Shark brothers. Let's go with Junior Shark first. Free agency. Has anything happened? What's been going on with the Bucks?
It's somewhat a waiting game to fill the running back position, but I mean, somewhat good news is that Chris Carson got paid by the Seahawks, so it looks like they won't be in the Fournette race anymore. I don't think Fournette's going to leave the Buccaneers unless he's going to be a number one running back. You don't pay Carson that kind of money to not be a number one running back. So honestly, we're looking at maybe for next week, Fournette or James White signing. Those are the two that I'm hearing and seeing a lot of. I think if Fournette goes to the Patriots, we get James White, and then we get another wave of Buccaneers Patriots logo pictures for this season. So it's getting questionable if we sign James White, to say the least. But apart from that, we've got Levante David back, we've got Chris Godwin back, we've got Shaquille Barrett back, and key element Ryan Suckup, perfect in the postseason. Something we haven't had in many years that's haunted us as a kicker. Ryan Suckup's changed that. We've got him on a 3-year deal. Watch him go 1 from 13 at the start of next season. But apart from that, yeah, it's just looking at like completely running it back, signing who we can, especially around our division, we don't. Honestly, I don't think we need to do much to win our division next year. And I'm saying this pre-draft. I mean, we've lost. The only trouble that was caused last year was Drew Brees, and he's retired. Like, please give me Jimmy Swinston twice a year. Thank you. I'll take 2 wins. You know, it's not going to be even remotely close. Give me Taysom Hill, and they're probably not going to amount 20 points in those 2 games. So, I mean, you look at the Falcons; they've not done much. If you're going to stick with Matt Ryan again, okay, cool. We're probably going to take another 2 wins. Whoever Carolina are going to muster up, cool. Give me another 2. Honestly, it's just
Mr. Sure himself over there, Shark. You know, the one thing you didn't mention was in case the injury bug hits, man. You know, you got it all figured out, except you left that out.
Honestly, I would take Gabbert against most of those teams. Like, honestly,
You would take Blaine.
you give me some.
Yeah, their hands were growing out of their fucking
I've got a
kneecaps.
Gabbert jersey. You
Give
can
me,
have it.
give me the kid out of Stanford, and we'll probably still get 5-1 in this division. Like,
Honestly, hang on. Time out.
I was going to say, someone get rid of Shark.
I know Mr. Smug, the original Scott, can't join, but Shark, seriously. We had a troll in here last week, Mr. Potato Guzzler, and you are giving him a run for his money.
No, but like you
talking out your hat, even though you haven't got one on.
Take the 3 teams on our division and propose a problem to us right now.
Oh, okay, I got you. Everybody, don't worry about this. Because you said you were 5-1 with Blaine Gabbert.
Fucking Gabbert. Not Blaine Gabbert. Blaine fucking Gabbert.
Sometimes I forget to clean my ears, and I think I hear weird shit. I want to be clear. 5-1 with Blaine Gabbert in this division.
Yeah.
Taysom Hill could whoop Blaine Gabbert's ass. Jameis Winston could whoop Blaine Gabbert's ass.
Not about conceding those turnovers.
Matt Ryan will kill Blaine Gabbert. Blaine Gabbert is one of the most trash QBs that have ever hit the league. He's done nothing. Period. Even when
I thought you just like Joe Flacco.
We benched Colin Kaepernick for Blaine Gabbert. And what happened?
There's a bit more to that story.
Hold on, John B.
There's a bit more to that story.
Because he got benched again. And we put Colin back in. Why? Because Blaine sucked that bad. Blaine is trash. I don't care what you put around him. There are some QBs in the league that just don't have it. There's some players in the league. It's like you put them in the private. It's like putting.
It's like Jimmy Garoppolo.
It's like giving somebody a Ferrari and they don't know how to drive it, and they rip the clutch to shreds. It's basically what's going to happen if you put Blaine Gabbert in and you think you're going to win in your division. It's not going to happen. The Saints already have enough of a structured roster that would make Blaine Gabbert shit his pants on defense. The Falcons barely have a defense, and they would make Blaine Gabbert look bad. And even though the Panthers have lost a lot of their defensive starters, I can guarantee you Run CMC is going to win the game by himself. There's no way in hell you're winning shit with Blaine Gabbert. I guarantee you. Yeah. Don't ever say that again. Don't jinx your team like that.
That's all there is to it, man.
Blaine Gabbert couldn't hit a receiver if he was standing right in front of him 2 feet. The man is – I've seen him play. I've watched him play. He's garbage. There are some QBs in this world that are just trash, bro. And you got to realize that. Don't ever get that kind of faith in Blaine Gabbert. I know that Bruce Arians thinks he's some quarterback whisperer, but let me tell you something. You're going to look a hell of a lot better with Tom Brady starting than you ever will with Blaine Gabbert. Blaine Gabbert starts, I guarantee you go 6-10, maybe 5-11 at best. And your division, you will look horrible in. All of those QBs in the division are better than Blaine Gabbert. Teddy Bridgewater is better than Blaine. Taysom fucking Hill is better than Blaine Gabbert. And he doesn't even throw the ball.
I'm better than Blaine fucking Gabbert, and I'm 55 nearly and can't throw shit. Honestly, Blaine Gabbert, Shark. Honestly, for the 5th Beatle, you really, honestly, geez.
Yeah, you took me somebody.
I feel there's a lot of deep hatred that I've just touched on
No, you just took it. You just took Mr. Rogers' spot right there as Mr. Smug because you won a Super Bowl and now you unfortunately have got your head in the cloud so damn far that you can't see the reality of Blaine Gabber's trash.
If Tom Brady's healthy with the best team in the NFC, if Tom Brady's healthy,
yes. If Tom Brady's not healthy, you're going to drop to the bottom of your division because you think Blaine Gabber's going to win you some fucking games.
Not to stroke 49ers egos here, but you got to remember last year they were totally and utterly banged up. 90 players that were injured throughout that entire season. Their MRI chart broke down, so you have to give the 49ers a pass for last season. They come back healthy. They are going to be causing problems
in the NFC.
In the NFC. Let's get something straight here. Green Bay is still going to be in the mix because they've still got Aaron Rodgers. He went MVP last year. He's going to stay there. You got the Buccaneers are going to sweep. They're either going to sweep the division or they're going to go 5-1, and they'll probably lose week 17 or week 18 with just a dead rubber match. And then
I'm sorry, Craig. Yeah, Craig looked like he got something to say because that's a direct division rival right there. Yeah, he got something. Craig got something to say. We all need to mute and let Craig go in. He got something to say.
You've just got to remember that one of our biggest problems was Dan Quinn was our head coach and he didn't know what the hell to do when we were leading. We've actually now hired a coach who knows how to play from the front. Exactly.
Bleed the clock.
That one. I mean, Arthur Smith is going to run the ball and bleed the clock, right? We're a better team than 4-12 or 5-11 right now, with Arthur Smith as our head coach, and we're only going to find a way to draft talented players this year. So yes, the Bucs are still going to be the team to beat. I will hold my hands up and admit that in the NFC South, but don't think the Falcons aren't coming hard next year.
I've got to
it's
be honest.
It's going to be interesting.
Brady gives you multiple 20-point starts and you still can't beat the guy. Nothing's going to change. Nothing will change.
Anyway,
we'll give you 20 again if you want.
What
Honest.
Scott, bro? Is Scott hanging out with you over there, Sharp? Would you be tied into a fucking
I think
chair?
he is. He's got him in the closet or something. Anyway,
He's giving you pointers, man.
James, we will come to you very, very shortly, but we now have the main man, what this show is all about today, apart from us all arguing. Four-time Super Bowl champion, Mr. Jesse Sapolo is in the building. And we've got some fanboys here. We got loads of people want to speak to you. Jesse, good morning from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very, very much for joining us, this crazy bunch again on this Saturday morning. I really appreciate it. Jesse, how are you, sir?
Oh, no.
I think your microphone you're on mute, Jesse. Your microphone's not working or your headset. Hello? Oh, look. Oh, I can't believe it. Technical. Oh, hang on. He's muted himself. Let's try this. Hang on.
Oh.
Technical support have arrived.
Your mic isn't connected, Jesse. Are you with us? No.
Nope.
I'll take you out and bring you back in, Jesse. Sorry, bear with me a sec. See, even superstars, we all have issues with microphones. Let's try again. Jesse, are you with us?
No, he's on mute.
You've just muted yourself again. Technical support.
You hear me now?
Yay! Right, let's start again. Superstar, center, had Joe Montana up close and personal for all those years. Jesse, good morning. Thank you for joining us, bunch of fanboys and just NFL fans. Thank you so much for coming on. How are you?
Oh, we lost it.
No.
Oh,
You hear
me now?
Yeah.
There we go. Right. Third time lucky. Jesse, good
How
morning.
you guys doing?
We're all doing very,
Good, man.
very
Good.
well.
Good.
Great
Good
to
to
see
see. Good to be with the faithful brothers from the UK, man.
Definitely. Now, we all 49er fans that are in here, and obviously non-49er fans, we got a lot of questions to get to. Firstly, can you tell, I know you did on the first show, but can you tell us the story of the drive again, from the TV timeout, who was in the stand, what it was like being in that huddle? And as you know, I like Tom Brady came after Joe Montana. When that ball was on that field, I think all of the Niner faithful knew that Joe was going to lead us down the field. You were in that huddle. Tell me, what was it like?
Well, at first, for me personally, I was just trying to focus on not making a mistake. You know, for me personally, the last thing that I needed was my name or my number to be read that I held on the key drive that we needed to win the game. But you know, we ran about 2 plays, and then we called a timeout. And sometimes, you know, even when you're done with the timeout, the referee would tell you, this is a TV timeout, but we still got to stay in the huddle until the commercial is done. So they held us in the huddle for a little while, even though Joe came back from the sidelines. And in that time, he pointed out John Candy standing on the sideline, he can see through the huddle. And you know, everyone in the huddle kind of turned their head and, oh yeah, there's John Candy right there. It brought a lot of calm and confidence to the huddle that this is it was a do or die for us. We needed to score a touchdown to win the game. And my feeling was, if the bus driver is confident, then there's no reason for us to be nervous. We're gonna do well. And obviously, the rest was history as far as Joe Montana. We moved the ball down 96 yards to win the game, and ended with Joe to John Taylor.
Amazing.
Goosebumps.
Right, we're going to get some questions from the panel, because I know Tony, NJ Niner fan 499, is here. Tony, the floor is yours. Speak to the main man, Jesse Sapolo.
No, don't do that to me. I'm a little bit starstruck right now. Listen,
I'm old, man. You don't need to be nervous.
Jesse, listen, I have the utmost respect for you. You are a true warrior. You were you think of that 49er offensive line, Jesse Sapolo. And I just want to thank you for everything you've done for the organization, for the team, on the field, off the field. I was actually on the field one day and I met you. I caught you out the corner of my eye. I was like, oh shit, that's Jesse Sapolo. I turned, I was like, Mr. Sapolo. And you just looked at me. I was like, uh-oh. I was like, could you sign my helmet? You signed it. And that just totally made my day. I think it was the Arizona game 3 years ago. Yeah. And I just had so many memories of you on the field, just watching you as a kid growing up. And you were such a team player, in '94 when they brought Bart Oates in, you slid over to guard, then you went back to center. And it's just you're just an amazing human being. Now you're involved with helping kids in football in Hawaii area or wherever, other areas in California. And it's just really good that you give back to the community and help the kids with your son's in coaching, right?
Yes, my youngest is the offensive line coach at Fresno State right now.
Yeah. And I just want to thank you. And by the way, happy belated birthday.
Thank you. I made it to I'm from Hawaii, so in my 50s they called me Hawaii 5-0. Now they call me Hawaii 6-0.
So actually, I'm talking about your birthday, and again, happy belated birthday, Jesse. Your son was a few days afterwards, and I saw his tweet I think you retweeted it saying, "Well done, old man, you made it to 60, etc." And then I think you then sent him a message on his birthday, so that was obviously quite special. Dion, my man Jesse's in the building. What you got to say to the guy?
I don't. Yeah. Yeah, bro. I'm like Tony right now. Seriously, starstruck. Like I grew up watching.
First of all, you know, it was an honor for me to perform for all of our fans. It was a great time in our history. You know, at the time you were watching us, you know, there was another 49er fan named Tom Brady that was watching us. You know, and if you look at the quarterbacks that are in the NFL right now, you know, Aaron Rodgers grew up a 49er fan, and even the young man from Buffalo that's turning into a great quarterback grew up a 49er fan. So we wish we could get at least one of those guys, you know? But just, you know, the way the NFL system works out, you know, who the team that does the worst the year before gets first crack. Now, did we miss on Aaron Rodgers? We sure did. But there's a story behind that you guys need to, and I'm sure you being faithful fans know this, but we sent wide receivers at the time to Utah to catch balls for Alex Smith before that draft. And then a few weeks later, they sent the same two receivers to Cal to catch for Aaron Rodgers. And the story is the report came back that the receivers were more impressed with Aaron Rodgers. But our quarterbacks coach at the time did not favor Aaron Rodgers over Alex Smith. Well, our quarterbacks coach at the time is Mike McCarthy, who ended up being the head coach at Green Bay. So he ended up winning a Super Bowl with the quarterback he didn't want us to take. So that kind of hurts, you know, when you think about it, because we had a few great teams under Coach Harbaugh, and then now, you know, with Kyle being the great innovator that he is. Does it hurt? It hurts me from the standpoint that we were 5-0 during our time in Super Bowls, and that's something that you guys took pride in. And then to lose two close ones, which we could have been easily be the only team to win seven Super Bowls without a loss. But that's life, you know. We have to move on. And talking about offensive linemen, I thought this past couple of weeks we had some good signings of keeping Trent Williams at a key position on the outside. And I always liked Max Gain when he was with Atlanta. So getting those two guys were solidified. You know, there's a saying that you can't build your house on sand. You got to build it on the rock. And I think having an offensive line is a great move towards that direction.
Yeah, those are all ridiculous points. And it's funny that you bring up the Aaron Rodgers and Alex Smith thing. I went to high school at Palisades High School in Pacific Palisades.
Okay.
And I played with I didn't play. I was good friends with one of his first receivers by the name of Jeff MacArthur. So I knew Aaron Rodgers was going to be Aaron Rodgers because Jeff was telling me. He's like, I would talk to him here and there while he was in college, and he would just tell me, like, bro, this Stu's going to be sick when he gets into the league. And I'm like, who? And he's like, Aaron Rodgers. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, okay. And I would check him out and I would look. And then when everything started happening as far as Aaron Rodgers, Alex Smith, who are they going to take? What are they going to do? And I'm looking at everything. I'm going, yeah, man, I got firsthand knowledge from, you know, one of his first receivers and one of the top guys that played at Cal. Yeah, it definitely should be Aaron Rodgers. But then I started reading all the reports. And, you know, of course, we went the other way with Alex Smith. And But for me, man, it's just very nice to meet you. Where I grew up in LA, that's pretty much a lot of the community that I was around was people from either Hawaii and or Samoa. So like you guys are always like the greatest people. It's always a family affair. Like nobody's ever excluded. I mean, of course I'm ridiculously small, so they always looked at me like, man, we need to feed you. Like, what's going on? Why are you, don't you eat? And I'm like, yeah, I eat, man. But y'all just, everybody like 6 foot. I'm 5'6", man. Cut me some slack here, man. I don't know getting where you guys are, but like, even, having the chance just to, to speak to a 49er legend. I started watching when I was, a kid in '85, man. And I've been watching ever since through the good, the bad, the ugly, and I just thank you for even taking the time out of your day to speak to just a regular Joe Schmo like me, man. It's definitely an honor.
Honor for me too.
And you know what, Jesse? I've never heard Dion or Tony be so starstruck and quiet. It's quite amazing. John, are you starstruck? Speaking to the legend.
I am, but I cannot thank you enough. You and those 5 championships are the reason that we wear this gear. I mean, we support the Niners. Tony, Danny, Dion, myself, Nick. I think I speak for all of us when I tell you from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for everything that you did for this organization. Like I said, I was just a kid. I was born in '83, so I didn't really understand the game till '94 when everything was positions. And I had family that were Niner fans from Pennsylvania, an older cousin that was a diehard Niner fan. And I looked up to him so much that I just saw him and his friends rooting on the Niners that I was part of the action. I was just a kid in the corner, but it grew on me. And I never put the red and gold aside ever since that day. I collected every 49er card, no matter who they were, even if I had never heard their name. I had everything 49ers from when I was 11 years old to this current day. I'm 38 years old. I'm forever grateful, and I'm a forever faithful because of you guys. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate everything you've done.
Thank you, John. It's nice for John to remind me that he was born the year I was a rookie with the 49ers. But
I was just about to say, sorry, Jesse, I was just about to say it was nice of John to remind me that was the year that I left senior school in England. So I'm starting to feel quite old as well now, Jesse.
Well, look at it this way, John. You were born into the prime time of the 49er run. I think the great thing about our generation is that the consistency over 20 years of 10 wins or more. During my 15 years with the 49ers, the worst record I ever had was 10-6, and we won a Super Bowl coming from 10-6. That John Taylor Super Bowl we talked about the drive. We were 10-6 that year. We started off 6-5. Imagine that. And also, I've only missed the playoff one time out of my 15 years, and we were 10-6. It just happens that the tiebreakers all went against us that year. But we started off 4-6 that year, and we beat 3 division champions in the last 5 weeks of the season because we turned it around. We beat Chicago Bears on the last game like 56-7, and they were the champions of their division. So I remember that year, everybody were, Matt Millen, who played with us in 1989, 1990, went to the Redskins, but he called us and said that everybody's calling each other, said, don't let these guys back in. And they were happy that we didn't make the playoffs that year. But talking about Aaron Rodgers and sharing the greatness of Tom Brady now, the Aaron Rodgers of our era was a guy named Dan Marino, where the ball just comes out of his hand with the spiral that's beautiful, and the ball just seems like it just leaves his hand with an effortless way of we all are wowed by it. Well, that's Aaron Rodgers of today, and but you look at Tom Brady and the mental strength and his ability to lead. It's comparable to kind of Joe Montana. Didn't have the strongest arm in people's eyes, but's very accurate. But the mental strength to influence and make players around you better. Even when Brady won 5, 6, I was still saying that Joe Montana is still the greatest, only because of the way we dominated the Super Bowl. Of the way all of our Super Bowls were, and Joe played a big part in all the Super Bowls. And of course I'm kind of biased, but some of Brady's Super Bowls were that interception against Seattle on the goal line. A couple of those were field goals that won them the game. It's why I hung on to the fact that Joe was still the greatest. But this past year, you got to give the man his credit to go from one culture that was already established and go to a team that had some talent but never really believed in themselves up here and in here, to influence that team and will it to win a championship. I think you got to give Tom Brady his due. And not to take anything away from Joe, we were the dominant team of our generation. It's just that the game is different now, but Tom Brady has dominated his generation more than we dominated ours. And for that reason, I'll give him his due.
Definitely. Danny, I don't know, you probably haven't seen the start of the show, Jesse, but
hey,
Danny over there, another
I can put it all
UK
back on if you
fan.
want.
Oh, look out. He's a cross between Macho Man Randy Savage and a super fanboy with all his gear on.
I will take all these compliments. Keep them coming.
I'm sure Danny's got something he wants to say to you, and then I have got a couple of questions that I need to ask you that have come in via Twitter and in the chat. So, Danny, the floor is yours.
Oh, sure. Hey, Jesse, thanks for coming on, man. Really appreciate it. It's very good of you.
You're welcome.
There's a lot of, like me included, there's a lot of fans from the 80s here in the UK. I mean, Nick, you might be able to emphasize with this. My folks started watching the Niners because of what you and the team were doing. So thanks for all your hard work and everything over the years. Nick said, come on, be a fanboy. So I look through all my stuff. I'm finding like my old hats out here. You've already talked about that game. I won't show you the underside; it's a bit dirty, but thanks so much. Thanks so much for everything you've done, man. It's been a pleasure, being 49er faithful since then. I was going to ask if it's all right with Nick. Just a quick question for you. I was wondering, was there ever a play that you remember where your blocker had gone and you could actually maybe not sit back and relax and have a drink or something, but you can kind of sit back and watch the play go and then celebrate the play? You turn to Joe or Steve or something, and you see the receiver running downfield or the running back's gone past you already. Is there ever a play that sticks in your mind and you think, wow, I got to be on the field for that?
Many a place. But if I was to point out certain plays, it wasn't necessarily a Super Bowl game. I don't know if you remember, we won the Super Bowl in '89, which was an '88 season. And in '89 season, the second best team in the NFC was the Los Angeles Rams. And they happened to be in our division. So we ended up playing them 3 times that year. Mm-hmm. But the second game was a Monday night in Los Angeles, and we were down by 17 with 6 minutes to go. And they had the ball on the 6-yard line going in to score. So they had a chance to go up 24. Think about that, 24 points with 6 minutes to go. And they fumbled a snap on the 6-yard line. And we came in and 2 plays, and John Taylor took it 94 yards. Okay. And then they went 3 and out and punted the ball back to us. And they had a great punt. That ball was inside the 10-yard line. And the first play we came out, John Taylor took it another 90-something yards. So now instead of being down by 24, we were down by 3. And if you remember, the Rams had a receiver and a returner that was a gold medalist in the Olympics in the relay team. A receiver, Brown was his last name. And he caught the ball on the kickoff, and he got hit, and he coughed it up. And now we got the ball on the 35-yard line, and we drove it in. We scored 21 points in a matter of within that 5.5, 6 minute mark. And you should have seen the look on that of the fans in that stadium. The 49er fans were dejected for 3.5 quarters, and the Ram fans were starting to celebrate that. We actually, and this is a true story, we actually saw the owner of the Rams. It was a lady, Frontier, walked the sidelines and started shaking the Ram fans' hands. Everything pointed that they won the game. For us to leave that stadium that night and see the shock look on their faces, it's the reason why we play the game. It's to go out in hostile environment and test yourself. What I've learned from that game is you never, ever, ever give up. And when you have number 16 drive the bus, you always have a shot. So that's one of the games I remember. People said, it's not a Super Bowl. Well, yeah, I remember the Super Bowls. But the games where it was almost humanly impossible to lose, to win the game, to be able to come back on prime time. It was a Monday night game. And it was a key game because they were second place with the second best record in the league. And for us to win that game, and then, of course, they came back and played us in the NFC Championship game. You remember they went to New York and Flipper Anderson caught that ball and ran all the way to the locker room. Well, they went, hit Philadelphia, beat New York Giants, came all the way back to San Francisco, and we blew them out when we played them in the NFC Championship game. But that Monday night game is what I remember.
Awesome. Thanks, Jesse. Really appreciate it. And I suppose I better pass it back to Nick, but thanks.
You're welcome.
You see, this is the second time I've spoken to Jesse, so I don't get all fanboy on him. I did the first time. If you watch the first video, when I had Jason and a few of the other guys on, I was like, and I was just speechless. But it's fantastic having you on. Right, we got a couple of questions. We have a Jimmy G one that Callie has asked, but I'm going to ask you this one first. And I've had a direct message on Twitter from Nick Ludlam, who is another faithful fanatic over here in England. Question for Jesse, and I can't fit it all in with the character limit on YouTube. With Kendrick Bourne leaving, one of the things that come up from players still with the team is that the energy enthusiasm he brought to the locker room. Was there anyone who did this for the Niners teams you played in?
Later on in my career, we had a few characters that came through that kind of, the 49ers had a certain way of doing things. Probably my first 10 to 12 years. And that was a business approach, business first, kind of how Tom Brady, led the New England Patriots through their run. So we call that the 49er standard. You focus. When you lose a game, you don't, ponder on it too much. You just move on. And but when we drafted kids like Ricky Waters, we had William Floyd, and then we signed primetime Deion Sanders to come over. They brought a little enthusiasm that kind of changed the team personality a little bit in '94. But we allowed it to happen, but not to the point where we lost control of what needed to be done. But we really enjoyed it. I mean, even George Seifert, you know how George Seifert is, stoic and always worried about every little thing. We got him to relax a little bit and showed a little bit more emotions on the sideline. So I really enjoyed that '94 team also. But that team was a little different personality. We had characters like Kendrick Bourne right now is always enthusiastic all the time. But when we had those rivalry games with the Dallas Cowboys in the early 90s. I'm standing out there in the corner of the end zone because I'm the second team long snapper at center at that time. So we go out early. And then afterwards, I stand in the corner of the end zone waiting for the rest of the team to come out for warmups. I didn't know what Dallas used to do is they go to the end zone of that team and stretch there purposely to show people we're here, right? I didn't know that. I was just so focused on, I'm so focused on, what's my calls when they switch fronts? Where's the blitzes coming from? I'm going through that in my head. And then all of a sudden, Ricky Waters and William Floyd came out and started swinging at those guys. Those Dallas guys that were stretching in our on the corner of our end zone. I'm like, what's going on? And then I found out from Ricky and William Floyd and guys like Adam Walker. So these guys, we heard it. Somebody said it in the newspaper that they do that purposely to show people that we're here and we're the boss and all that kind of stuff. Like, oh, I didn't know that. Well, I'm glad you guys did that. But
that's what you call real bulletin board material there. And is that like a fallacy, or do people actually see what's in the papers? Like, you're going to Dallas, you're going to get your ass kicked and whatever. Did that ever happen, and did that actually motivate the teams that you were on ever?
Well, there was a time we lost 2 straight NFC Championship games to Dallas, and that was painful. I think when they upset us the first time they went to a Super Bowl under Jimmy Johnson, a lot of people thought, me and Michael Irvin, we've done some events and we talked about it. And he agreed with me that a lot of people said that Dallas was a year away when they upset us, and then they went on to beat Buffalo in their first Super Bowl run of the 90s. But Michael said, and that's the reason why they changed their culture. They said, we're not going to wait 1 year. We're ready to take on the 49ers right now. And they did. They came over to San Francisco and upset us. And then the very next year, we made it back to the NFC Championship game. We went to Dallas, and they beat us in Dallas. And that's when Eddie DeBartolo says, we enough is enough. And part of the reason why is you got to stop number 22. That was their bread and butter. I know Michael Irvin was great, but when you look at the Dallas Cowboys, you got to stop the run. And the guy that runs the ball is number 22. Well, we lucked out. We drafted a kid that worked out pretty well named Dana Stubblefield from Kansas. And then the very next year, we wanted to shore up the middle. The very next year, we hit on the draft again, a kid from Notre Dame named Bryant Young. So now we're starting to solidify the middle of the defensive line, because what happens when we play Dallas is we got to try to outscore them. And as well as I do, is all the great offenses we had in San Francisco. If you don't have a defense, you might not win the Super Bowl. And that's what happened when we played those Dallas offenses. They ran the ball, they cut the game short, and you got to stop number 22, Emmitt Smith. And then we went and got one of their guys, because we felt like they stole Charles Haley from us. So we went and got Kenny Norton to help us out in the middle. We signed Ricky Jackson, who was an all-pro, longtime veteran from New Orleans that was hungry for a Super Bowl. And then later on that year, I think by the third game, we went out and signed Deion Sanders so that we can control one side of the field. The pressure was all those signings, we better win, because we lost 3 straight games to Dallas, one in the regular season and 2 NFC Championship games. That hurts. And once we turned that around, then we won 3 in a row against them. So, that's what was important for us that year.
Awesome. Right. Another question. I've got to scroll up. Hang on a second. Carly Young says, what is, and this is
I think
The
that's
Nick
some
Brees.
world class timing.
No, he froze. I think I can take this one. It says, "What's Jesse's opinion on Jimmy G? Was the rivalry between Joe and Steve a bit overblown?"
Yeah. First, to address the Joe and Steve situation, that was overblown. You know, when you're a competitor, you know, there's going to be tension because you're competing. Was there tension? Yeah, there was some tension because we felt like uh, maybe Steve should have just relaxed a little bit more. But Steve wanted to play, you know, which made him probably the best backup quarterback in the league in those years. But there was some tension. But as far as how the media put it, that they didn't like each other, that's not necessarily true. But there's no question Steve wanted to play earlier. With the injuries and I felt like you remember Steve Bono that came after that, and he had a nice little run with us. Well, because we had a great offense around him, we won like 6 games in a row under Steve Bono. But I felt like at that particular time that even if we were to trade Steve, right, I felt like Joe still had it in him, and that because of Steve Bono's emergence as a great backup quarterback, maybe if we would have stuck with Joe, that would have been good also. But at the same time, I understood that Steve was a great, young quarterback that wanted to play. But to prove my point is, before Kansas City won the Super Bowl, the closest they ever come was when Joe was there.
Joe was there.
And Joe had a concussion when they were leading against Buffalo when he hit his head on the turf. Or else I thought Kansas City would have gone to the Super Bowl that year. So my point is, Joe still had a lot left when he came back from injury. But then we switched over to Steve, and as we went on to win Super Bowl 29. So it was a tough thing to swallow because I was snapping with Joe for years, but I also like Steve as a person and as a quarterback, and I'm just glad that it worked out for both parties. As far as Jimmy G, I think Jimmy G is good enough for us to win the Super Bowl. That's my opinion. Now, he needs to stay healthy. At the end of the day, you got to be on that field. Does he throw interceptions? Yeah, he does. But then the one thing that I like about Jimmy G is his mannerism, being calm under pressure. And sometimes, the ball gets away from him a little bit with a couple of the high throws. But I think, did Joe Flacco beat us in the Super Bowl? Yeah, he beat us in the Super Bowl. Is he one of the very top quarterbacks in the league? I didn't think anybody thought about that. Trent Dilfer won the Super Bowl when he played. So my point is, can we win the Super Bowl with Jimmy G? I believe we can. Can Jimmy G do we need him to be healthy and be a little bit more consistent? Yeah. But I think he's a good enough quarterback that we can actually win the Super Bowl with him. And signing that offensive line this past couple of weeks is a big step towards that direction. Losing Bourne with that enthusiasm that he brings, but it hurts a little bit. But we got some young receivers that are up and coming that makes it exciting for us this year.
Yeah. There's another question in here from Melissa. She says, your thoughts on Patrick Willis and Joe Staley? And, as fans, we love Willis. We love Staley. We think that Willis was one of the greatest 49er linebackers ever, and Joe Staley was a staple at left tackle for so long. She just wants to know your thoughts on those guys.
Love Patrick. Great person. A beast. A lot of people throw around the word beast nowadays because of social media. We laugh at it when we see it sometimes. But when you throw the word beast to Patrick Willis, it's fitting. Great person, not a guy that mouths off and tell people what he's going to do to you. He just goes out and does it. Now, it kind of hurt that we felt he had a couple more years left in him in his prime. And it just shows you the quality of a person that he is. when he decided to make that decision. Patrick is a man of conviction. If when he decides, a lot of players, it's the opposite. You're past your prime, and yet you still want to play. Patrick was the other way around. So we hated to lose him, and of course Joe was the consistent left tackle that we had in the new era after us. Love Joe, love his enthusiasm. The only thing that I wish Joe Staley had a little bit more, because he was looked at as a leader. I felt like he needed to be a little bit meaner. That's my opinion, because guys like myself, Steve Wallace, and Guy McIntyre, even though we were on the smaller side, we didn't let anybody get away with anything on the field. If anybody, any little cheap shot that was coming our way, we went after that person, and we didn't care. I remember I played in London, in the preseason game at Wembley Stadium, and when you play the teams in preseason that we come overseas, we practice the whole week, and there were a lot of fights in those practices. And the offensive line, Guy McIntyre, myself, Steve Wallace were in the middle of those fights. I just felt like Joe Staley was such a great athlete that if he would have been a little bit more assertive as far as, not being so much as a jokester, but joking around and be the good funny guy. We wanted him to be meaner and keeping people a little bit more accountable. That's the only thing. It was a personality thing that I felt, shows teams that you don't mess with our quarterback. You don't mess with our offense. You don't mess with our team. One of the things that Bob McKittrick would ask us at the offensive line is, after we break the locker room to go out on the field, he wanted the offensive line to be the first people out of that locker room. It was more of a mental toughness thing to show everybody, especially on the road, that the offensive line are the leaders of this team. And, because we're unselfish guys that don't want any notoriety, but yet we're the leader of the team. So that shows you the character of that football team.
Yeah, and then the other question comes from Callie again. He says, does Jesse think trading Charles Haley to Dallas shifted the power in Dallas's favor?
Well, it seemed like it did. It seemed like that was the piece that allowed them. Remember, I talked about everybody thought they were a year away, but that was a piece that allowed them to compete with us right now. But then again, we had, and Charles and I are close, but we had some locker room problems when at that point when Charles was there. Because Charles was close to some of the people we lost, like Ronnie Lott went to the Raiders, and Charles felt like maybe we shouldn't have traded those guys. But, and Charles is one that spoke his mind. And I think from the 49er viewpoint, it was kind of hurting the locker room a little bit. But Charles was a great player, no question. He went to Dallas, and that made a difference. And we went and got Kenny Norton, and we were able to take one from them in the early 90s.
I have one question for you. I've read so much on Eddie DeBartolo and how much of a family guy this guy was, and how, for me, the way the team was constructed and the way he ran it was the way I would run a team if I ever owned an NFL team. Can you tell me what it was like to play for this guy? Because everything that I've read and everything that I've seen just leads me to believe he was almost the perfect owner. I mean, nobody in this world is perfect. We all have flaws, but just seeing and reading everything that I've heard about him, how was it to play for Eddie D?
It was great. It was great to play for Eddie D, but it wasn't as easy as people, thought it was. Because the one thing that was great about Eddie is he treated us first class all the way around. Everything that he did, We were the first to travel on Fridays, even though the game is on Sunday. We travel on wide body planes, meaning 2 aisles, and that means the whole team had the whole back of the plane. Each player had his own row. We were the first team to have each player has his own room. He was the first one to implement that. But at the same time, Eddie is a competitor, man. And if he's going to spend that money to treat you first class, you better win. You better win. So, sometimes I look at teams that never made it to the playoffs and offensive linemen that were making as much money as we have. And yet they don't really care if they play in the playoffs. They go home every December. We didn't know what that was like because, we would talk among ourselves and say, well, it's nice for those guys to relax and go home for the holidays. But for us, it was constant pressure. It was constant pressure. But within that pressure, you win championships. You know what it's like to be treated first class. You talk to other players from other teams that tells us they stay in 3-star hotels. And yet Eddie puts us up in 5-star hotels. He took care of our families. He sent flowers every holidays to the wives or the mothers, and those little things just makes you know that he cares about you. But if we don't win a particular game, you heard stories about Eddie kicking in the Coke machine in the locker room type of, So those were, there was a lot of pressure, but man, I wouldn't trade it for anything. There's Nick is back. How you doing, brother Nick?
I'm back, Jesse. Sorry, I had to go and hit the router with a hammer. Got some more
questions.
I did see that, Dion. Thanks for jumping in. Tony, one of the guys that was on his had to jump off, Jesse, just sent me a message saying you've made his weekend. Thank you very much. I think all of us here, 49er fans, can obviously say that. I got another question from Twitter. Who do you like in the draft? Who do you think we're going to take at 12, or any O lineman that you like?
Who's been stealing my questions, Nick?
Well, I was leaning towards O-line before this past couple weeks. When we signed Mac and we kept Trent. It wouldn't hurt if we go O-lineman at 12. I was also thinking defensive back. At 12. There's a kid from Alabama. I think his dad played in the league also.
Patrick Surtain.
I think signing Barrett was a great keeper for us because he had Pro Bowl talent before he was injured for like 2, 3, 4 years. And then, of course, starting to show signs that he's starting to come back this past year for us. Losing Sherm, kind of hurt. Of course, Sherm never depended on speed anyways, but his smarts and his ability to anticipate is what made him a great player. And of course, his length. But I think, honestly, in my opinion, I think it wouldn't hurt us now because we signed back a lot of our guys. And of course, Juice signing back is a key. I think we can move down the first round a little bit because I don't think we can get a quality quarterback just to come in and learn maybe a couple of years, 1 or 2 years behind Jimmy. I don't think we can get one of the top quarterbacks, even though they had 4 or 5 guys that I think are. A lot of people are pointing to that quarterback from Alabama,
Mac Jones.
That he has a little bit of a Tom Brady. He can't run. He's not the greatest runner, but he has the guts to put the ball accurately in places. And people ask me all the time, what separated Montana from a lot of everybody else in your generation? I said, it's not his arm strength. It's not. Now Montana could run, better than people thought. If you remember, he scrambled quite a bit to get first downs in the early years. But your ability to put the ball where it's supposed to be is a key to a great quarterback. Everybody says, the 49ers were known for Jerry Rice and John Taylor run after the catch, Well, you can only run after the catch if you catch the ball in stride, and Joe Montana put it in stride. You can't run after the catch if you got to reach back and try to gather the ball, because by that time, everybody else is closing in on you. That league has so much speed. It's why some people are very, very popular in college football, and you wonder why they can't make it in the NFL. Well, athleticism shows up in the NFL at every position. I think accuracy is key. So I think Mac Jones has a little bit of a reputation with accuracy. So who knows? But I wouldn't mind moving down now that we signed back. And then we added Mac on the offensive line. We signed Barrett at DB, which I thought were our biggest needs going in.
Definitely. Carl, I believe you have a question for a legend that is a 49er legend and nothing to do with the Patriots, and it better not be a Patriots question.
No. It's got nothing to do with the Patriots. Jesse, is an absolute honor to meet you. Not just a 49ers legend, but a 4-time Super Bowl champion as well. I texted my father earlier on this morning. I goes, "What can you tell me about Jesse Sapolo?" He basically said to me he was the rock of that offensive line during the run of the 80s and 90s dynasty. A comment that the late great Bob McCritic, I think his name is, your offensive line coach, who Bill Walsh said at the time was one of the best in his time. He basically said, the best technician and the most fundamental sound lineman I have ever coached. Sapolo would have been selected to 9 or 10 Pro Bowls if we did not move him around on the line. Was you a firm believer in sacrificing individual honors for championships? That's my question to you.
Absolutely. It's how my career was based on. People ask me now if you didn't switch, because they don't only switch me once, they switched me twice. I was a young guard, and Guy McIntyre and I were considered two good young guards coming up. And as we were getting ready to play Cincinnati in that drive Super Bowl, a guy named Randy Cross announced his retirement during the week. So Bill Walsh said our center next year will be Jesse Sapolo. So I knew going into the Super Bowl game that was my last game at left guard, and then the very next year, we not only won the Super Bowl, it was the most dominating performance with a 55-10 thrashing of John Elway and their team. And then I stayed at center, played there for 9 years. And then when we tried I think Guy McIntyre went to Green Bay. And instead of going out and look for a guard in free agency or draft a young guard in the draft, Bob McKittrick mentioned to George Seifert that when we switched Jesse from guard to center, I thought he was our best guard. I'm like, how we used to run those sweeps all the way to the sidelines with Roger Craig high knee. Well, it takes a lot of running, and I felt like, man, this is my 11th year, man, and you're expecting me to run out there again after, because center, and I was the first center to pull out. Remember those championship games? I was the one that they pulled me from the center position only because of my history at guard. Then when they switched me back out to guard my 11th or 12th season, which was before the season we won the Super Bowl 29, I felt like, here I am. I'm a Pro Bowler now, but yet they want me to switch back. And but at the same time, the mentality of those teams was team first over self, and it has to be that way. If you look at Tom Brady, right? Did we ever talk about him as the highest paid quarterback in the league?
He's
Never.
the most grossly underpaid quarterback that
Yes.
ever played football.
Underpaid because he felt like he needed to leave room for the cap so that they can build around him a little bit. That's his mentality. You know, what's the use of talking about the highest paid quarterback, the highest paid this, the highest paid that, if you're sitting with no rings in your trophy case? I mean, what's the one reason we play this game? You know, and I tell people all the time that tells me like, hey, Jess, man, you would have been an automatic Hall of Famer if you didn't switch around. I said, but if I would have gone into the Hall of Fame, is there a parade on Market Street in San Francisco? There's no parade. You don't make there's no parade for our fans. You know, if I made the Hall of Fame, the parade comes when you win the World Championship. And I'm glad to say that both times that I switched positions, we won the Super Bowl, and that gives me satisfaction that what I did was for the team, but then also for you guys to enjoy the parade. Because people say, "Oh, Jesse got inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame." But what good is that going to do to you? That's a personal accomplishment. But the beauty of winning championships is that we can all celebrate together.
I've said that a million times. Nick knows I said it a million times. You either play for money or you play for win
the game.
Play for the rings.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I've always thought Dan Marino is one of the greatest quarterbacks I've ever seen play football, but he will always be remembered as the one guy who didn't get the ring, and that's horrible because he was such a ridiculously great quarterback. Barry Sanders, his whole career played with one Pro Bowl offensive lineman, one. And Barry, to me, is the greatest running back of all time. Behind Barry, I honestly love Frank Gore just because of his consistency. He's still running. I think Frank Gore going to play till he's like 60 or something. And he'll be out there running for an extra 200 yards preemptively. But, oh, man, yeah.
Definitely. It's a mentality. It's a mentality. And you can't just talk it. You got to walk it. Yeah.
Definitely. John, you put a question in the chat for Jesse. Why don't you ask it, fam?
Jesse, what does Kyle lack that Walsh and Seifert had to be so successful, if anything at all? Are there any nuances that you see there? What do you notice from a younger coach with a lot of talent, and sometimes like your O-line situation, where does Kyle lack what those men had that made them so successful?
Well, I don't think Kyle lacked anything that may be experience as far as Bill and George, because George, even though he was a new head coach, he was under Bill for so many years. The thing that's different, and we gotta understand that. When we won the first 4 Super Bowls, that 49er team stayed the same for the most part because we didn't have free agency, right? You knew when the lineup flashed up, and the offensive line comes up, you kind of already knew 4 of the 5 guys, year in and year out. When the defensive backfield is flashed up, you knew Ronnie Lott was going to be on that list. You knew Eric Wright was going to be, so the team didn't change a lot. Now, sometimes I'm watching the game and I'm like, oh, he's over there now?
Yeah.
So it's a little different. And then the salary cap, right? Like we talked about Eddie. Well, Eddie went on a spending spree. And that's why a lot of the old owners, the guys like Art Modell and the Rooneys, they didn't like Eddie. They didn't like, because they felt like he was flamboyant. He came in and started spending money, to build his team. But the reason why we have a salary cap is because they wanted things to be a little bit more equal. The reason why we added free agency is because they wanted, other like players from Buffalo were like, we hear the 49ers, Eddie gives them an extra $10,000 bonus because, of this and that, which Eddie did when we came back from the strike. And they were saying that, you know, in any other job, if I signed a 3-year contract and I finished my 3 years, in America, you're free to go anywhere to work, right? So why can't we do that in the NFL? Because the way it used to be in the NFL, even if you played out your contract, the team that you come from has to be compensated by the team that you're going to, even though you played out your contract. So the rules are a little different from that standpoint. And that's why it's amazing what New England's doing or did, you know, because they won consistently and dominated in the era where the NFL wanted things to be even with the salary cap, and the fact that you can get, you know, players from other teams that if you busted in the draft and that player is free from the other team, you can just go and sign them through free agency. There's no longer the expertise of the draft, so to speak. So I think that's a little bit different from Kyle, is that he has to deal with that. And when we had some injuries this past year, I know a lot of teams have injuries, but man, I thought somebody had a voodoo doll on the 49ers.
Yes, I said that so many times.
You know,
I agree.
you know, it was
Definitely
unbelievable.
There was definitely some weird stuff with injuries. Just had a private message on Twitter from Carly, who's in the chat. Highlight of my day, I got to ask 49ers legend Jesse Sapolo 3 questions. My favorite Niners lineman of all time. Thanks, Nick. So you are appreciated, and I mean, the amount of questions we're getting. Let's try. Have you got a bit of time, Jesse, or have you got to?
I got about 10 minutes at the most right now, because I got to train an NFL lineman coming in.
Cool. Well, we won't hold you up for much longer.
I hope his name is Mike McGlinchey. I'm just kidding, man. Maybe I'm not.
You're not kidding.
There's a joke in the
I have no comment, man. No comment.
I was expecting Dion to come up with that comment, because you just have this hatred, but this burning feeling.
I leave it. I tell people all the time. My brother John B from another mother. He always hits you with the jokes, man. I'm telling you, Jesse, me and John, literally all of these guys right here, I've met them all through the internet. So it's kind of funny how the pandemic will bring you together, and how being 49er faithful brings you together. Even though we've got Craig and we've got James here, Craig is actually amazing with his mock drafts. Dude does straight film work. Like, he studies, he knows what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? Having just fans from the UK over there, but John, I mean, me and John are. It's always funny. We always laugh because John's married to a Browns fan and he lives in Ohio. And I'm married to a Cowboys fan, and I'm currently in Arizona. So we always look and we're like, how the hell did this happen? But it's so funny, man. John is a riot, bro. He's got those one-liners right now that still drive you insane.
Yeah, he just did one with. He just flew a frame flower and said McGlinchey. As I said, Jesse, I mean,
look, I look at it this way. If you're going to get picked that high, then you better live with the fire, you know? And, you know, I talk about Joe. I think he's one of the 49er greats. But I just wish, you know, the personality would have been more, you know, I'm not willing to take crap from nobody, you know, because at the end of the day, it's a combat sport. And I think we still hold the record over 2.5 years of 18 straight road wins. And we took pride in that, you know, and people ask me right now, what do you miss about playing? I said, I miss being booed on the road, you know. We love walking into 75, 80,000 people. You know, not all of them are against us, but I would say 65,000 are against us, that are looking at you and say, you're going to get your butts whooped, you know. And to turn around and whoop their team's butt right in front of their own eyes is the reason why competition is so appealing to all of us. And I felt like you don't have to walk around tough all the time, but when it's time to play, you let those people know, we don't care if this is your house. We're coming in to beat you, And I just felt like if we had a little bit more of that, we would win the close Super Bowls that we lost. There's a reason why we were able to pull off that drive. There's a reason why when we have you by the neck, we choke you to death, like on that 55-10 win, or the San Diego win. The San Diego win, that was over in the second quarter, really. They made it look a little respectable at the end with those last fourth quarter touchdowns, but the game was pretty much over. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about lack of talent. Now, when we talk about McClinchy, I can't blame you guys, because in crunch time you're supposed to show up, and you either, if you give up a sack in crunch time or you hold during crunch time consistently, the fans are going to feel it. You guys know football enough to know the basics as far as what. And I think I don't think the fans would have been as hard as on Mike if he was drafted in the 5th round. But we picked him in the top 10, and the expectations that high.
Definitely, I think also just very quickly before we all go round before we let you go, I think that's the case with Solomon Thomas as well, who's obviously just left and gone to the Raiders. It wasn't his fault he was picked 3rd overall and it didn't work out. But the amount of criticism and he's not this, he's not that, he hasn't done it. It is hard on those kind of players. And I expect McGlinchey's feeling that now after last year. It is hard on these players. Right, before you go, Jesse, we're going to go round the horn quickly, and your final act will be to get those 2 rings out, because I know you've brought them, and if you haven't, your assistant needs sacking. So we're just going to get one more question each, and then get your cameras ready, because 2 Super Bowl rings are coming your way. Carl, one quick question for Jesse, if you've got one, or just a comment.
You're muted, Carl.
And you're muted.
Sorry, my apologies. One last question. When you came over to the UK for pre-season games, there's a bit of an atmosphere right now between the American base and the UK fans over here. Jeff Reinbold, who we've had on this show multiple times, has said that the closest thing to a Super Bowl sort of atmosphere you could actually get is by coming over to London to watch a game either at Wembley Stadium or at Tottenham Hotspur's new ground. Is there a different sort of atmosphere when you was playing in them preseason games over in London compared to where you was when you was playing at Candlestick?
Oh yeah, there's a big difference, but at the same time, we were the beginning part of coming over. Now the fans are. Because I think the first year we came over was 1988. We won the Super Bowl that year. And the fans were just learning the intricacies of American football. I think the reason why you guys are enthusiastic about American football is because you understand the game now. I grew up playing rugby a little bit in Samoa as a youngster. And, but then football, the athleticism that goes to it, but what people need to get used to that is the game you huddle up, right, compared to rugby. But then at the same time, every play in American football is like a scrum, right? Because you're pushing against each other all the time.
Yeah.
So that wears you out from that standpoint. But once you understand the theory that goes, nothing gets your stomach turning. When the game is on the line and it's 3rd and 3, you got to make the first down. I mean, you're sitting there squeezing as a fan, and that's the beauty of American football. Is the drama, the uncertainty, that comes with the game. But there was a little bit of a difference because they whistled a lot when we were playing. We didn't quite understand what that meant, but we thought it was pretty neat.
Cool. Thanks for that.
Right.
Okay, Danny, go for it.
Just to say thank you. I mean, for your honesty and your positivity is good. Goodness knows we need more of that nowadays. So thanks for your honesty and your positivity. And what you're doing with the youth programs as well is just absolutely stellar. You're changing lives with that, with football and what you're giving to those kids. So thanks, man. Really appreciate it. That's no more questions from me. Just a big
thank you. Thank you, Danny. Appreciate your support with the 49ers. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Craig.
Yeah, I mean, look, Jesse, thank you so much for coming on. I think the guys have already said it. It's been a huge honor to just be part of this. And look, I'm not a 49er fan. I'm a Falcons fan. But being able to listen to your stories and hear about your time in the league has been incredible. So really appreciate you, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Craig. Appreciate it.
John.
Jesse, like I said before, from the bottom of my heart, my friend, I am so grateful for everything. All your stories were so vivid. It just painted an amazing picture in my mind. I truly cannot thank you enough. Those experiences for you were just single digits of life for me, and I hadn't a clue what was going on yet, but you made those so vivid in my mind. I'm truly grateful for everything, and I will continue to think of you when I wear the gear and everything you guys have done for us. Thank you so much. It's been an honor. I truly appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And let me end by saying this. I think your household was a little happier this year because the Browns made the playoffs, right?
God, Jesus, there was that moment when the Browns could have beat the Chiefs, and I was ready to choke her out, man. She had me believe, man, that they were going to do it, and she's like, "You guys sucked. You couldn't win the big game," and it was just, oh man, Jesse. Yes, my household was very, very lively. It was pretty wild here, man. But Browns do Browns things, and it is what it is.
Thank you.
Awesome. Carl, can you work out how to get Jesse on his own for the last shot with the rings? Because I can't work it out. Dion, floor is yours, sir.
I just want to say thank you for even taking the time out to be able to speak with us. It's great to speak to someone who's a 49er legend. Like I said, I grew up around people who were from Hawaii, from Samoa, and you guys are always the coolest of cool. I've still got some people back home. I follow like The Rock ridiculously, tremendously close, strictly based on the fact that he's half black, half Samoan. I'm a Johnson, he's a Johnson. Like his energy drink actually is amazing. But yeah, Jesse, thank you so much for even coming on the show and taking time out to speak with just us, regular guys. We love everything that you've done for the for the community, and in our hearts, you mean more to us than a lot of things.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
Now, James, you've been very, very quiet, and I totally forgot you were in here, and I do apologise. Is there anything you want to say to the legend, 4-time Super Bowl champion, Jesse Sapolo?
I really do love all the America's games. I take a great interest in that. So to speak to someone who's been there and done it, I appreciate you coming on. And thank you. The question I want to ask is, what's the best player you've come up against that we wouldn't have heard of? We'll probably know that you probably faced LT in his prime and things like that. What I want to know is the best player you've come across that maybe I've or most of us haven't heard of.
Most of the players that I've come across, one of the better players I played against was a guy named Leon Lett. That people know him for different reasons, but they call him the Big Cat. They call him the Big Cat because he's 6'8" and can move like a cat. But we had some battles in the 90s. But there was a linebacker you never heard of, and I forgot his name, but from Tampa Bay, that one time Guy McIntyre came back to the huddle and said, "Man, that guy gave me a little headache," And then the next play, Bubba Paris came back and said, "That dude right there just gave me a little headache." So and then I went up against him because he was a linebacker, and I understood why they gave those two guys a headache. But and this is something that we joke about, how we never heard of this guy, but he was a great.
Caused three of you a headache.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
So I guess the last bit is up to me, as it's my show. Jesse,
yes,
it took a lot of messaging and emails to get you on. I've spoken to you before, but I am still my heart is because you are 49er royalty. It's like having Joe or Jerry on this show. And Joe and Jerry, if you are watching, hit me up on DMs. I'd have you on any day. It's been a fantastic hour and 15 minutes. I really, really appreciate you coming on again. Like so many people have said on direct message on Twitter, thanks for answering my question. It's made my weekend. It's made me feel better. I feel happy. On behalf of everyone that's been on today and for everyone that's watching, I just can't thank you enough for taking time out to come on and speak to us fans, because there's not many people that would do it. And I truly appreciate everything. And before you go, Carl is going to put you on full screen because we need to see the bling.
Yeah, I brought I brought the 2 rings that we won back to back because that's hard to do.
Now that is what football is about. Forget 20,000 passing yards, 60 sacks. Super Bowl rings is where it's at, baby. Jesse, thank you. Thank you,
guys. You guys take care.
We'll hook up again soon. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thank you.
So, really? And you know what? The hardest thing about all of that is I couldn't say fuck, shit, bollocks, everything.
The hardest thing about that is not shitting my fucking pants when I actually was about to speak. You guys have no idea. Like, I don't get, I'm not a starstruck kind of guy. Okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah, exactly. Right. I kid you not. Okay. So I'll tell you something. When my first job I ever had was working at a grocery store, bagging groceries. Now, John will probably know who this is. You guys are from the UK, so I don't know if you will or will not. There's a singer by the name of Tony Braxton.
I know Tony. I've heard of Tony. Unlock My Heart or something?
Unbreak My Heart, yes.
Unbreak My Heart, yeah.
Look at Johnny.
Close.
Okay, so
Unlock My Heart, Jesus.
I worked in Beverly Hills. So the store I was at, a lot of stars would frequent that store. So I met various people, but at that time I was 19 and Tony was like, she was everything to me. So I'm like, man, if I ever meet Tony Braxton, the shoot my shot thing wasn't around at that time, but I always said to myself, I'm going to shoot the shit out of my shot if I ever get to meet Tony Braxton. And the way they taught us when we were there, long story short, was like, hey, don't treat them like differently, just do your job. So we did. But when you meet someone like that, and I had, I had dreams about this woman. Like, Tony Braxton was the greatest thing since sliced fucking bread. And she walked up with her mom. Now, mind you, I'm only 5'6". They short. They like 5 foot. but she was trying to be low key, but I knew who it was. We were supposed to wear dress shirts, white dress shirts. They had to be ironed. And I was good at that. My shirts were always crisp. My shirt went from bone dry to soaking wet in seconds. I looked dead at her face, and I was like, bro, like this.
That's not customers.
She had bought water, and she literally opened a pack of her 24-pack of water and was like, "Do you need this?" And I was like, bro, never been so starstruck in my life. And the crazy thing was, like, as I'm doing this, like, I'm not thinking. I'm just putting her groceries. I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, everything is going, but in my brain, I'm in a whole nother world. I don't know what the hell's going on. And her mom walked up and she said, "Son, are you okay?" And when it was her mom, I was like, "I'm not." And she looked and she goes, "This happens a lot. I've never in my life," and I didn't know what to do. Like, I helped her out to her car. I don't even know how I even managed to get a couple of words out, but I knew.
I'm surprised you were able to walk out, man.
Yeah, when I put her groceries in her car, like, I kid you not, the last bag went in, and like, I came back into reality, and I said, "This is Tony Baxter. What the hell am I doing?" I looked at her and I said, "I don't know if you're married. I know I'm just a grocery store clerk. But believe you me, I'll marry you. I will do anything for you. I don't care what it is." Like, and she just looked at me and she said, "I am married, and you're handsome, and you're very sweet, and I just want to make sure you're all right because you look like you were kind of hyperventilating." I said, "I know this happens to you all the time, but you have no idea. Like, you are just the most amazing woman on the planet to me, and I've never ever seen that." And they were like. She was like, "Oh, that's nice," and I was like, "Thank you for coming in and shopping. I hope I didn't scare you off." She goes, "No, it's okay. It happens a lot, but at least you were able to come back into reality and you didn't faint." And I was like, "Yeah, thank you." And her mom was like, "You're such a handsome boy. If she ever has a daughter or something, we'll let you know." But that moment was just like one of those moments.
Very, very interesting. All I can say is, what time was it? And was Tony Braxton off her fucking face saying that you were handsome? I'm only joking with you, bro.
Did she ever come back to the shop? That's what I want to know.
You said what?
Did she ever come back to the shop?
She did. She came back and she shopped. And the funny thing is like, the next time she came back, like, I was able to be a little more calm. I still stuttered over my words a couple of times, but no, I met like a lot of people working there, but like, it's one of those like childhood type crush things. Like, my wife is a ridiculous Selena fan. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm talking like, if Selena keeps in it, you hear her say "not Gomez."
Yeah.
Hello, Mrs. Dion. Hello, Mrs. Dion.
I need to make sure that was clear, because she hates that shit. But yeah, like, if she was alive and she were to meet her, I feel like I'd have to catch her ass in seconds, because we went to LA to the Wax Museum, and she got to take a picture next to her statue and everything. She was, even looking like, "Oh my God," like, wow. And it's just, you meet those people like that, man, and you go crazy. Master P, I met him, nicest guy you'll ever meet in your life. Nice, super cool, man. One of the nicest people in the world. But yeah, hey, Nick, bro, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Do you know what? Hey, look, when this shit is over, I swear on everything, I'm going to the fucking UK. I'm bringing John with me, goddammit. And nothing at the bar for you is to be paid for. Not a goddamn thing. I Gotcha.
Agreed.
We
Bring a second mortgage then, because London's not cheap.
I was going to say,
Yeah, careful.
A,
about promises.
it's not cheap. It's not cheap in the UK, and B, I can drink like a fucking fish.
Yeah, we're going to teach you how to drink if you
But-
come over. I'm telling you that.
Look, man. I used to be able to, but I don't drink often enough anymore for me to be able to drink like a fish. No.
It's really weird. Just before, and I want to go round and see if anyone else has met any famous people, and I'll finish off with a few little nuggets. I used to work for an international airline, so I've met loads, and I've got some really cool stories. But it was easy getting Jesse on the first time because obviously Jeff Reinbold, who is very good friends with Jesse, it was really easy to get him on. So, because obviously Jeff was on the show and he will be on the show in the future when he's in a better time zone. I just kind of casually dropped into him. I said, "Oh, I saw you had Jesse Sapolo on your Coffee with Coach. Is there any chance?" And I said, "I know I'm being a bit of a cheeky fucker, but is there any chance you could get Jesse to come on?" And this is before he'd actually been on. So I said, "Is there any chance you and Jesse would like to come on a UK show? We have a few American fans on, and obviously with Jesse, as you know, Dion is he's quite high up in the NFL UK scene over here." And he said, "I'll see what I can do, but I can't promise anything." So a couple of weeks went by and we had a couple of DMs, and all of a sudden I just sent a tweet. He tweeted, and you know what Twitter's like. If you don't catch the person at the right time, they don't see it. And within 10 seconds of him sending a tweet, I basically said, "Can you DM, please, Jeff? I've got something I want to put to you." And remarkably, I DM'd him and said, "Look, we are we're not a full-on 49er show, but obviously there's a lot of 49er fans. Is there any chance you could get Jesse to come on?" Like, "Yeah, not a problem. I'll do it." And you know what lip service is like? You think, yeah, it's blah, blah. And within a day, he'd come back to me and said, "We'll do it. Let me know what time. We'll work out a time zone, blah, blah." And obviously the show is out on our YouTube channel. And I was like, and Jason was on here, Jason Aponte was on it, and it was like, I can't believe that I'm speaking to a man who's won 4 championships. And the 2 times he's been, the first time I said, "You've got to get those rings. You please bring the rings." And he told me a story that he's got the 2 back-to-back rings he keeps at home, and the other 2 that are more precious are in a safety deposit box somewhere. Wouldn't tell me where, unfortunately, because I just kind of nick the motherfuckers,
I wouldn't. Nope.
I'd have just got the 4 and gone like that, and then, I'm still buzzing now, and I know all the Niner fans watching and everything. Carl, have you ever met anyone famous, and did you fanboy, or did you go, "Oh, this is just a normal person"?
My claim to, I can't really say it's claim to fame because the guy is, I could say the guy's obsolete now. He's not. He's a presenter on Sky Sports. Back in my younger days, I used to play darts for the local darts academy. And one year in 2005, there was a top 10 darts player that was doing a tour. He goes by the name of Wayne Mardle, or Hawaii 501, as he was known as. Yeah.
He was one of my favorite players back in the day.
Well, this is the story I'm going to tell you, okay? Because he came around for, he was doing an exhibition. Basically, all of the Andover Youth Academy got an opportunity to have a leg of 501 against him. Whether or not he was taking it seriously or not, I don't think it was. But there was only 3 kids that managed to beat him. One of them was me. It started off, he goes, "Well, I'll let you go first. Off you go then." And my first 6 darts was 100 and 121. And everyone was already starting to cheer me on and all this, that, and the other. He ended up missing a checkout, and then he turned around to my mother, and I kid you not, he goes, "I'll go on, I'll give him a chance." I had 85, triple 15, double top. The whole place went bonkers, and I actually got not just a handshake, I actually got a hug off Wayne Mardle. So that's my only claim to fame I could really say.
I loved. Do you know what? I don't know. How is darts seen in America? Do you watch darts? Do they have darts, or is it not really?
They have it, but it's just it's like a bar kind of thing. We don't. It's not big. We don't really. I mean, you play
So
it.
it's kind of.
It's more so you hope you hit a bullseye. Like that's kind of how we do it. We don't really focus too much on it.
So it's one of those sports that might be on ESPN or something like that when you've come
on
in from
ABC.
the club
It's
at
probably
4
on
o'clock
ABC
in the
or
morning,
something.
and it's
yeah, like you're not gonna can't broadcast it like super crazy like that. Like we play darts more so for fun. It's not competitive really. It's competitive in the fact that you're drinking with your buddies and praying to God you don't throw the shit in somebody's fucking eye. Hitting the goddamn dartboard or something, but that's about it. Like I used to throw darts in my uncle's basement when he had like a whole. He didn't have like the old school one. His was digital. So I mean, we did that, but it's more so just like a bar fun time thing. Nothing's professional or competitive, not at least in America that I know of.
Cool, Danny. Have you met anyone famous, and did you fanboy it apart from today?
Did I fanboy? Good grief. Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty lucky over the years. I've done a lot of photography, so I used to go and shoot the international series. I did the 249er games, not on field, but the press stuff beforehand. So got a chance to I remember at the first one, like John York was there when he was like a bit more of a figurehead, and Mike Iupati, who's just retired. It was his rookie year, so they sent him out to do all these little things in schools, and it was actually it was actually a White Hart Lane. Back in the day, and I used to work with Neil Reynolds. I'm sure you know Neil Reynolds. He used to come up, and we, because I'm a teacher, and he would come round with me to the local school. So I'd pick him up from the station in his Ford KA. Now he's about 6'3", so if you can imagine this like really tall guy in a Ford KA, like the smallest car you can get, knees up around the thing, and so that was quite starstruck.
So it was like an adult in like one of those little pedal plastic.
Yeah, like one of those clown car things. Yeah, it was great. And I'm like, oh look, it's Neil Reynolds. And but no, we just kind of worked together. But we did meet Patrick Stewart once from Professor X Picard from Next Gen. We went to see him in The Tempest in Stratford, and we tried to get autographs outside. I wanted to sign some Star Trek stuff, and he refused. And he shouted at my dad, and my dad has still not let it go because my dad was taking a picture. And he shouts at my dad, and my dad's like, "No, I'm not watching." It was just 20 years ago, so I still don't think my dad's watching anything with him in. So yeah, we took it personally. It was like anti-fanboy, I think, is what my dad did there. So
yeah, I don't like it when stars act like complete arseholes. It's not good. Craig, any claims to fame? Any famous people?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's probably nearly 10 years ago or so. I'm a massive Newcastle United fan. I was born up there, family of Geordies.
Tonight, 8 o'clock.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Get ready for them messages later on.
Can't wait. Huge game for us tonight. But I'd gone back up. We'd gone up to visit some family, and there was a big kind of entertainers reunion game going on, and a couple of my cousins like work security, doormen type thing, and they'd been asked to do the kind of security for this game. So we got I managed to get right into kind of talking to all the players, Kevin Keegan, photos with all the guys kind of before and after this reunion game against some of the Liverpool legends. It was kind of reenacting one of those 4-3 games, and yeah, just to be able to kind of be up close to some of the heroes that I'd watched when I was kind of 12, 13 growing up was awesome. And yeah, finding words just to try and say anything other than hi was almost impossible.
Those 4-3 games back in the day, absolutely fantastic games.
I mean, not as a Newcastle fan, they were.
Unfortunately, you don't. No, not as obviously, but you know that you don't see those games anymore, which is a real shame in soccer. James, anyone famous? Have you ever been unfanboyed?
So I got a kind of a cool story. So one of my best friends from school was actually on Big Brother about 5-6 years ago.
That's
they made
not a cool story saying Big Brother.
Well, it is. He won a lot of money, and now he does streaming online and is pretty big. So anyway, I got to go up and do the bit on the side all the time when they have the celebrity guests coming on. So I've met Katie Price, who is actually a lovely woman. Had a couple of drinks with her. Smoked cigars with John McKirrick. That was pretty cool.
Wow. Wow.
No, yeah, I got to the studios.
The racing analyst who just goes...
Yeah. And my best friend, Pi, had to massage him as a challenge in the Big Brother house. Yeah. True. I swear on my life, this is true as well. So he sat on the back of a golf buggy, and I was going into the studios, and we ended up having a little chat or something, and he offered me a cigar, and I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to spark up. The chase was done there, so I met Bradley Walsh, 2 of the chasers, because there's an open bar as well, which I took full advantage of. And that's why I didn't get starstruck, because it was the old Dutch Courage. Bradley! From across the bar. Like...
Does he, and I've always wondered about Bradley Walsh, is he the same in person as he appears on screen? Because he seems like a really nice kind of guy.
He was a lovely guy. He actually sat down, we had a pint and a game of pool, and he's not a good pool player. I can tell you that. I'm pretty good. Like, I smashed him. I was just like, nice. Yeah, I'm going to knock you around the table, son. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
Story.
The other one I met was Ron Jaworski, by the way, sorry. I met him just after the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
Jaws.
So he got a picture of me, another friend of mine, Joe, and he's got the ring in the middle and he's doing this pose with it. And I was like, that's pretty cool. So yeah.
Nice. Quick story before we speak to John about it and people being different on screen and they are off. Now, our American fans, Carl definitely won't know who it is. James, I don't think you'll know. Craig, I don't think you'll know. Danny may have a chance at this. Has anyone ever heard of the TV personality Ted Rogers, who used to do 3-2-1 on UK TV? Danny's looking blank as well.
Remember the old fingers, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes,
that's correct. No, that's Carl. Forget it. You won't. You don't. This is like late 70s.
I'll listen to you, Nick.
Oh Jesus. Not even Challenge TV would have that. Not even Challenge TV would have that on right now. Christ.
I met a guy called who at the time, and Danny obviously has heard of him, was massive in light entertainment in the UK. I mean, he was the Bradley Walsh of now, possibly, maybe even bigger than him. And he had a primetime Saturday night show. And he was doing like a one-man show in Brighton. So I didn't go and see the show, but I was out in Brighton and I walked past him and I saw it was him. And I went, Ted Rogers, I love your show. And he basically looked at me and went, get the fuck out of here. I'm not entertaining any fans. And I'm like, what a fucking twat. What an arsehole. He literally told me to go fuck myself. And I'm like, you're joking. I'll watch you on the TV every Saturday night, you fucking prick. But that's just a side story. John, down below me. John, have you ever met anyone famous?
I was in New York City in the early 2000s, and I don't get crazy about. I'm not a big celebrity guy. I like musicians and football and athletes. I believe. I'm more into that shit. But I'm a huge Bruce Willis fan. I do like Bruce Willis, and I did as a young child.
I love Bruce Willis.
A young man, and some Van Damme and some Sylvester Stallone and all those guys. I thought I could beat people up watching their movies, but kicked out of me trying. Anyway, I thought I saw Bruce Willis. I jumped out of a cab. I crossed 2 lanes. I nearly got killed. to get almost fucking clotheslined by a wax figure outside of the fucking museum. I was so pissed. I thought I didn't even look beyond the fucking guy. I didn't even see the fucking museum. I just thought it was Bruce Willis. I was like, hey, yeah, I threw a 50 over the guy's shoulder on the seat. I ran over there, and I thought it was a 20. It was only from the Queen. Oh, man. I thought I gave him a 20. It was a 50. I was so pissed off after that, too. And I ran up to this wax figure, and I thought to myself, let me just play it cool, man. Everybody's looking at me, and I'm like,
Lucky Irish.
That was it for me. That was the closest I came to somebody famous. A lot of Browns players, I don't really consider that famous, so I'm good on that shit. But I will tell you this, Nick.
You want to go get some food?
When San Francisco came to Youngstown State in Ohio, right here, and Eddie DeBartolo sets them up at the college, and they practice and they get away from the West Coast and come to the East Coast. I tried to get in there for autographs, and I damn near got myself arrested and beaten because I didn't take no for an answer, and I tried to get in anyway, and it didn't work out, and they just, man, they sink the police, man. And you would think that the Niners in there are royalty, the way they guard it. It's incredible. But, I really haven't, a lot of concerts, backstages, this, that, and the other. I've met Mike Tyson and just some corny shit, nothing exciting, but just wanted to get into Youngstown State to see the Niners, and I tried, and I nearly got myself fucking beat. I tried to get that goddamn university. I was gonna jump over the fence. I'm looking at the fence. I'm looking at my truck. I'm like, if I can get close enough, I'll jump off the roof. I'll clear this shit, and I'll fall inside, and I'll at least buy myself some time before they get me. But that was it, man. And I went to Eddie DeBartolo's, like 15 minutes from here. DeBartolo's, their headquarters is here. It's got this great big Niners logo on the side of it. And I wanted to get a nice photo in front of it one time when I had just met Allison. We were going to go over there, and she was supposed to take my picture. I fucking killed myself, man. I fell. I fucking tumbled over these fucking shrubs. I got impaled by a branch. It was evil. But again, there's security there too, man, and it sucks. Couldn't get anywhere near that fucking logo. But I will tell you, man, today Nick was awesome, brother. I appreciate you, man. That was awesome. That's the only Niner I've ever met or even spoken to, and frankly, it's the only one I give a damn about now because it's the only one that delivered. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else is yet to deliver. If we're going to be completely honest, so if I was going to meet a Niner, I'm pleased and honored to have met Jesse because nobody else has delivered shit yet. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah. Hey, even funniest thing, man. I'm listening to John. John is fucking ridiculous, man. He's got some crazy shit. So going back to what Jesse was talking about, so when he said that they drafted a kid out of Kansas named Dana Stubblefield, a little quick backstory for you. So where I grew up in L.A., we were on Jefferson and 2nd Ave. The little shit apartment building that I lived in and I grew up in, I was about maybe 1, possibly 2, right next to that apartment building is Dana Stubblefield's mother's home. That is their house. Wow. Dana Stubblefield's little brother was a drunk. He just was. It was nothing against him, but he drank. His name was Donald Ray. My dad was best friends with Dana Stubblefield's brother before Dana Stubblefield was Dana Stubblefield. Wow. And it was crazy because I remember catching up with my pops and saying, "Hey, man, how's Donnie?" He said, "Oh, man, he passed a long time ago." And I remember him telling me, "Yeah, man, his brother went to the NFL." And I said, "His brother? What do you mean?" And he goes, "Yeah, some kid named Dana Stubblefield." And I looked at him, I was like, What do you mean some kid named Dana Stubblefield? You know who that is? And I was like, No, because he's a basketball guy. He Lakers, everything, all that. He watches basketball. But he tripped out when I flipped on him. I was like, we literally had connections to Dame Stock. I could have met this. You didn't tell why. Why would you do this? You're worth nothing. You just come on. Shit. Wasting my fucking time. This guy is right here. You know, he's one of our 49er greats, man. And here we go. You just completely bypass that. But like I said, he's a basketball person. He didn't watch football at all. And oddly enough, now, you know, for as much as I didn't care for him screwing that opportunity up, he started to watch football and just take a wild gander at who the fuck he seems to like. The damn Seahawks. Of all teams. I had to look at him. I said, hold on, wait.
That's just rude.
Him. Like, I literally had to FaceTime him and look at my phone like, are you serious right now? Of all damn teams, you would choose them? And he was like, well, I like Russell Wilson.
I like Russell Wilson, but I ain't going to
like Russell Wilson too. I just like the fact that he plays for the goddamn Seahawks.
I don't like Russell Wilson, and I don't like who he plays for. Dana's a rapist. You meet him in prison.
You said who?
Dana Stubblefield, convicted of rape last July.
I know, man. It was that was horrible, man. That was horrible.
Hit his head too many times. Doesn't understand the word no.
Hey, man. Hey, look, those clashes, that bang on them helmets was horrible. Hell, you remember Deacon Jones? Hell, they outlawed his slap because he was destroying people's hearing. Deacon Jones, if y'all don't know who he is, guys, Deacon Jones used to be a defensive end for the Rams.
Deacon Jones.
Notorious. Yeah, you remember? Yeah, okay. He was notorious. Deacon Jones would literally slap, bow, bow, right in your ear holes. He would slap the shit out of you. That ringing in your ears gave you no chance to block.
Yep.
You are so big.
He was the person that famously said of Dick Butkus, he didn't want to put you in the hospital. He wanted to put you in the cemetery. And that was all that Dick Butkus wanted to do.
Yeah, he is not
the hospital.
He was not playing like those, and like that's why like Jesse connected with me on a way I'll never ever forget, because I like what he said, because I've said it before, and this is why I like Bill Belichick, and I always say that I want Kyle to get some Belichick in him. He's like, when we put our foot, like you know, like he said, like the analogy he used, like basically, like I'm gonna choke you out. I'm not trying to let you breathe. I don't want to give you any more. I want to take your life on that field and end it. I don't want anything else. And that to me, I was like, that's the kind of. And if Eddie B had that, then you know what? Jed York's got to walk right in the fucking room and do the same shit. Jed's got to walk in there and go, you know what? My uncle had that. I'm going to tell you guys right now. When you on the field, I want you to break his fucking leg. I want you to rip his arm out of his socket. I want you to do it well within reason. But I want your mindset to be, I'm going to take your life on this goddamn field. So when you walk off, you feel soulless.
Yep.
And you feel like less than a person. If Kyle has that, be amazing.
Just like that guy in Major League, he was Corey Bernstein. I can't remember his character, but he walks up with the ball to the wild thing,
right,
and says, "I want you to do one thing: strike that motherfucker out." Major League, brilliant film.
Well, talking of Major League, John, I hear that the Cleveland Indians have a home game, or a home series rather, against the Kansas City Royals. So, are you and Mr. Smug going to be having, I can't say a reunion, but an actual meetup?
I don't know. If he decides to come, man, we'll have to work it out to where, you know, I get to put him in a chokehold and then we get to have a beer. You know, I hope that
Get your Bruce Willis.
Swift kicked to the nuts for me. Swift kicked to the nuts for me. Just you don't have to really make contact. Just give him a good graze, just right there.
Needless to say, the first half hour for Scott's going to be a little rough. Okay, but other than that, we're going to work it out. We're going to work it out.
You won't mistake Scott for Bruce Willis. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, stick him in
my one claim. I worked for an airline called Virgin Atlantic over here in the UK, and I met Kathleen Turner. I met Dustin Hoffman. Basically, a lot of stars that flew on the airline. Cool. I did the meet and greet and got rid of them. There's a guy in the UK called Jonathan Ross. He's a big personality. He went over my toe and broke it with his fucking suitcase because he was late. Every year he takes his family to Orlando and they were always late. And he run over my foot with his carry-on. No, I was wearing normal shoes and broke my fucking toe. But that's not the best thing.
So not only is he the most uncoordinated dresser and the most uncoordinated on his eyesight, but now he fucking just wants to injure people as well.
He's shit at wheeling shit.
There's a lawsuit there.
I had to.
No, he'll wear he'll wear something like fucking navy trousers, a red jacket, and wear a pink tie. I thought, what the fuck are you dressing up as Charlie Chalk today or something?
You know what? He's got shit dress sense, but honestly, him, his wife, and his kids are lovely. They are, and he was so apologetic because I obviously didn't know he fucking broke my toe.
He owns a pink Ford Thunderbird as well.
And I had to wake Kathleen Turner up in her seat because she was completely sozzled. I had to go up and say, Miss Turner, you're now in London. It's time to get up. But the best thing, James Brown always when he used to come and tour the UK, he'd have the top of a jumbo jet. So they would stop all the passengers from getting off and I'd have to go upstairs and Mr. Brown, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. And every time he spoke to me, I didn't understand a fucking word he said to me. It was like, and I'm like, welcome to England, Mr. Brown. Ow! And do you know what? It was like, I wish he'd have been sat down so I could have gone up there and gone, I'm feeling it. Like a sex machine, man. Let's do it. But unfortunately, I never got to do the get on up, James Brown, get on up. Again,
man,
lovely guy.
That's hilarious.
Lovely guy.
Crazy. Nick, tell us how you really
couldn't
broke your fucking
understand
toe. The Mile High Club?
No, he would never have fit in those small cubicles. He had to go downstairs.
No, not with him, with a lucky miss.
Oh, me? No, I didn't do that. Of course not. Some
what
people
the fuck
might
are you doing,
be watching.
man? That's a lot of time on a plane, brother.
Listen, man. I know.
Well, we all know what John B would have done. God damn it!
Exactly. I was based in London. I didn't fly over and back. I met them when they came to London.
Every time I went to a fucking bathroom on an airplane with this fucking beard, I open the door, motherfuckers are looking at me like. I'm looking at them like, I didn't shit in here. What the fuck are you looking at?
John B was going to jump the fucking plane.
I'm like, I'm Greek, man. I didn't do nothing, man. I'll make you some baklava or something.
Had to evacuate a plane in one easy lesson.
They're looking at me like, man, what did you do in there? And I'm like, I just washed my hands. Damn. I'll take my
The
seat.
best thing you should do, the best thing you should do.
Look at Carl. Carl's done.
Carl's gone. He's gone.
Oh, fuck
The
me.
best thing you can
Hey,
do
man,
when
that
you
is
with those
the most classic shit ever. He said, hey,
crazy,
people will look at you fucking.
They do, man.
They will.
Fuck's sake, John.
Oh, look, he's back. He's recovered. Right, we're going to wrap this show up because I am going to be doing a bit of DJing in an hour and a half. So I am going to walk the dog, cook the dinner, do all that. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today as much as I did meeting the great Jesse Sapolo. What an absolute superstar.
That was awesome.
I will get him back on. Definitely 100%. The only trouble, of course, with doing this medium is I can only get 10 people on, and I've paid for the maximum subscription because I could have had probably 15, 20 people on here. But unfortunately, I could only get 10. I was glad to see Tony. Unfortunately, Nick from Nothing But Niners couldn't make it because he had a bad night's sleep. So, Nick, I hope you're doing well out there. Thank you to everyone for watching. It honestly, today makes this whole year that's just gone by with COVID and all that, it kind of melts into the background because meeting Jesse, talking to him again was amazing. Don't forget, COVID is still out there, people. Wash your hands, use sanitizer, wear a mask, space, everything.
And wash your ass too. Don't be out here just stinking. Wash your ass.
Yeah, that's for John. That's for John in the.
I'm gonna wash my ass for. What the hell did I do?
Arizona's
He's saying, but you gotta be careful when you get on the planes. You come out, just
you don't know. Yeah, you don't know.
Arizona's also a dry heat
John,
as well.
Right.
You got to make sure. You got to make sure John V hasn't been in there before you, because otherwise there could be some fucked up shit. People.
Damn well you were wearing corduroys and sandals at a stewardess, man. You know it. Don't lie to nobody. You were wearing sandals.
Just like Chandler in Friends, I had wicker sandals on. No. Craig, John, Dion, Carl, Danny, Jesse, Sharp Brothers, everyone else. Thanks for the comments. Guys. Thanks for the likes.
Thanks, man.
Take care, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Danny, later. Dion,
see you guys
later, Nick. Take care, brother.
Great to chat with you all again.
Always a pleasure.